By Monday, that number slid to 5,000. As of midnight, a vaccine mandate came into effect across the state for the roughly 600,000 people working in hospitals and nursing homes. William Denzelo, New York.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in greater detail at the panic buying in the UK that over the weekend resulted in many of the country's petrol stations running dry. It took place after the government's transport secretary said there was no reason for the public to panic, but the shortage of truck drivers in Britain able to get fresh supplies moving has now been revealed for all to see. Howard Cox founded Fair Fuel UK, a motoring campaign group backed by the haulage industry. He says the British authorities have been extensively warned for months of the looming crisis.
There are tankers sitting there full of petrol and diesel around the country waiting to come along and fill up these forecourts. And the only ones who can do this is the military. The 5,000 visas from European drivers, that's completely, wouldn't touch the sides. There's not enough. And really, what's the point in coming over here for 3 months just to actually deliver what you've left anyway? I mean, the government have got themselves into this situation. The petrol and diesel is in the fuel supply chain. It's there. What we need to do is just get drivers, bums on seats to deliver those tankers to the forecourt.
There are efforts underway, as he indicated, to offer temporary visas to drivers from Eastern Europe to return to truck driving jobs in Britain. Haulage executives say thousands of applications for licences remain delayed as a result of COVID-19, and they're urging rapid action to clear the backlog. The main news again. 3 of President Biden's top generals have raised questions about White House claims that there was unanimity among commanders about the decision to withdraw US forces from Afghanistan. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the country's fuel shortages are stabilising, and New York has seen a surge in the number of state-employed healthcare workers getting COVID vaccinations after being told they would be fired if they didn't. And that is the latest feature story news. Simon Marks reporting.
This is the Onion Week in Review. This week, mothers across the nation invented a new drug to worry about, confirming that the completely fictitious new substance was appearing in schoolyards across the nation and is easily created from simple household products like sugar, window cleaner, and petroleum jelly. Calling the totally made-up narcotic scramp, mothers in desperate need of something to fret over deluded themselves into constantly agonizing over the widespread drug epidemic that exists solely in their minds.
My son sits in his room for hours and hours. It must be scramp. He's a scramp head. I bet they'll figure out how to scramp with this too.
In other news, a man confidently strides through a beaded curtain without parting it. A father takes a picture of his daughter every day from birth until he abandons his family. And the same homeless man is always begging for change on the same United flight. Stalled contract negotiations have prevented me from reviewing any more news until I receive a co-producer credit. But for more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. The phones are open here, as always. Should you wish to join us, you can take control of the airwaves and dial in at 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Well, we managed to avoid COVID completely last night as far as the topic on the show, which was nice. It's refreshing. Instead, we talked about the crazy financial situation, the IRS, that the U.S. government is in. The X date that's coming up. Supposedly, they now have a day. They're estimating it's going to be the 18th of October will be the day when the money runs out at the federal government, unless they raise the debt ceiling or
and they will. They will. They always have, and they always will.
And also, 11:59 p.m. this Thursday is expected to be the time at which the federal government will go into a shutdown, unless, of course, the government gang sides can come to an agreement before then, and so far they have not. So we may see ourselves in another so-called government shutdown, which basically is they shut down the parks and everything else keeps operating.
The monuments, the parks, they make it hurt.
Right, they want people to feel like it's affecting them, because otherwise, if you were to shut down most of the government, it would have no effect on people, with the exception of now
the workers.
It would
make our lives better. The people who work for the government.
Yeah, now if you have a business, you don't have to be regulated by goons like OSHA or whatever other federal agencies we're talking about. But that was last night. Tonight, we got all kinds of stuff to talk about. Aria, you're back after a week. at various different concerts. You had a nice little vacation there, and you went to some sort of like weekend-long plus festival. Started last Thursday.
Yes, I went to Louder Than Life in Louisville, Kentucky. It was awesome.
It's a metal festival?
It is.
Okay.
They had other acts there that weren't exactly metal and that were just like, I don't know how to describe it other than like hardcore, but it wasn't. Okay. It was closer to rap than it was metal.
Was this like a multiple stage kind of place where there was
Yes, it had 3 different stages. There were 2 main stages that alternated with bands playing, and then there was one further in the back that had smaller bands, which actually turned out to be a better place to be if you wanted to see like the newer, weirder audience, weirder acts. Yes. Without having to deal with, massive amounts of people, because there was something like 40 or 50,000 people there.
Wow.
And yeah, it was packed, dude. And that was only at half capacity. I didn't even realize it was going to be at half capacity. So we were
Is that due to COVID?
I think
capacity?
So. Huh. Yeah, but the whole COVID nonsense there, it was useless.
Non-existent?
Well, no, it was existent, but they weren't putting much effort into rallying people into one particular line so that they had to go through this checkpoint. It was wide open, and the first day we didn't know what it was. We just saw all of these people in a line and we're like, well, we have VIP tickets, so whatever that line is,
we don't need to be in it.
Right. Yeah. So we just walked right past it, and it turned out to be the health check. And no one said anything about it to us, and we went in just fine. We were probably one of maybe 15 people there, because once you got your health check approved, they give you a red COVID wristband. We were probably one of 15 people there who never had one the whole weekend, because
and no one ever said boo to you.
No one ever even noticed, I don't think, except us. I mean, it was so ridiculous.
So you're saying everyone there except you guys had a red wristband on?
Yes. Well, you got to think about how herd mentality works, right? These people see a line
There's
forming,
a line, got to go stand
so
in
they
it.
go and stand in it. And we're just like, yeah, well, we don't have to really go stand in that, so let's just not. Well, and then we did it every single day, and no one ever said a thing.
I found the best way to handle those types of situations just to walk in and look like you know where you are.
Doing.
You know what you're doing, you know where you are, and no one talks to you. This is exactly why when I'm in the stores, the department stores, or basically anything, people come up to me, ask me what things
questions, are. Yeah, because you got that
all
look.
the time. I'll be there in flip flops, and a t-shirt, and people still ask me,
"Where's the bathroom?"
Exactly.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened here. I mean, if you walk around like you own the place, people will just generally sort of assume that you do, and they won't bother you.
No, wait, were they checking a ticket for you to get actually into the event? So you're avoiding this one line for the COVID check.
Yes. Well, there were 2 other entrances. There was the general admission entrance and then the VIP entrance, and you had a wristband with an RFID chip in it that you
if you were VIP?
Yeah. I think general admission had one too, but it just wouldn't work for the VIP area.
I see.
So there were multiple check-ins, but before you could get to those, you were supposed to have to go through the health check. But like I said, it was just a booth there on the sidewalk that we just walked past, and no one said anything.
No security goon standing there eyeballing you or anything like that.
No, security was actually really cool. The only interactions I ever had with security was like passing crowd surfers off to them. I mean, they were really cool the entire time.
So this was an entire week of music?
It was an entire weekend. I wasn't here Monday and Tuesday of last week because I was at a different show in New York.
Oh, there you go. I thought you were all at the same place.
No, but that was Butcher Babies, Infected Rain, and I think Stitched Up Heart on Monday, and then Butcher Babies and Infected Rain wasn't at Louder Than Life, but their singer was, and she came out on stage with Butcher Babies, and like right now, Infected Rain is like my favorite band, so it was awesome to be able to see her again because she's really talented as far as female singers go.
Now, what? Good.
No, I don't know any of those. We'll have to pull some up, and I'll get a little taste because I don't know what you're talking about. But
I had never heard of Butcher Babies. I had heard of them, but I'd never listened to them prior
Butcher
to
Babies,
Monday.
I'm just gonna guess death metal. It sounds like Cannibal Corpse. You know, it sounds like
it's heavy metal.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't go as far as calling it death metal.
Okay. So there was some sort of lead singer of a band that you wanted to talk about. Was that an on-air thing? Or?
Oh yeah. But before we get into that, I want to talk about the TSA, right?
Okay, sure.
Because I discovered this weekend that if you're trans,
they like you.
You cannot get through TSA without getting felt up. It is impossible.
And they don't know who to send after you, do they?
Well, they always ask.
Unless it's
they let you choose.
Unless it's the guy named Pat. That's his specialty. He goes after you.
But it's bizarre. Apparently their machine forces them to select male or female, right?
Yeah.
So if they select female, which is what they did on the trip down there when I passed through TSA the first time.
This is in New Hampshire?
No, this was in Bradley International in Connecticut.
Okay.
And I turned around to look at the screen, and my wrist is glowing, and my crotch is just glowing like the sun. And she looked, and I had a hair tie on my wrist, and she goes, okay, well, I think it's obvious what that one is. And I said, the other one's pretty obvious, too. But she still had to...
Whoa. Why? The screen,
because they selected female.
Yep.
So it wasn't supposed to detect anything in that area. And then it did, and that set off their alarms, and they had to... She asked, do you want to go to a private room for this, or are you fine doing it here? I said, no, I like an audience.
You can see the screen glowing and everyone around you, too?
If you turn around and look at it. Yeah.
So all right, so did you get a private room, or you just
no,
right there?
Screw it. I mean, if you're gonna molest me, you're gonna do it in front of everyone. Yeah. So what do I care, right?
Right.
So that happened every single airport we went through. Except on the way back in Kentucky, they selected male, which caused my bra to go off. And because it has metal hooks in it. So, of course, they had to repeat the entire thing again. So if you're trans, no matter what you do...
You're getting touched.
Yeah. And there doesn't seem to be any way to avoid it. They even admit on the TSA's website, apparently, that they know it's an issue. I'm like, well...
Fix it.
Yeah, fix it then.
Well,
they don't know how to fix
they're going to fix it in the next 2 decades or something.
No, but the entire show was really awesome, with my one complaint being Aaron Lewis of Stained.
Okay.
Now, Stained used to be really popular. I don't think they've done any...
I've heard of them, but I don't know what they do.
Yeah, they sort of this...
They used
were
to be
sort
rough,
of grungy.
and then he was very, very grungy, and then he got really...
Sold out?
No, he didn't sell out.
He had a kid, and he started... What I thought was going on was that he had been singing about this chick album after album after album for 10 years. And just singing that... pining after this chick that had dumped him or something like that. That's what it seemed like to me. But it turns out he had a kid, and that mellowed him out. Then he became a country artist for a while, evidently. He's super conservative now, right? He came out wearing a hat that said impeach Biden and stuff like that. Evidently, he's been running his mouth on the tour and getting himself in all kinds of trouble. But, dude, he was hammered when he came out there.
Oh, dear.
I thought he was going to fall asleep leaning on his microphone. He forgot the words to their own songs repeatedly.
Wow.
And just sort of shrugged it off. And it's insulting. I don't care about Judas Priest. I'm not a Judas Priest fan. But that singer's like 70-something years old. And they were the second to last act on the final night.
Professional.
And they brought so much
owned it.
energy to their show. And they're in their 70s.
Yeah.
And they're this washed-up 1980s metal act.
Obviously not that washed up.
And then you have Aaron Lewis over here, who's supposedly popular, touring with Korn, one of the biggest rock bands in the world, has no energy whatsoever, and I think you think he's going to fall asleep.
Jeez.
So who are the other frontliners?
Metallica played 2 nights, and Disturbed was the other night. Disturbed was brought in by Machine Gun Kelly, and I don't know if either of you have seen this.
I don't even know who the guy is, except
what
he dates a really hot woman.
He dates Megyn Kelly. I learned about him because he was a rapper, and he started a beef with Eminem.
Megyn Kelly?
Yes.
Or Megan
Megan Fox, yes. Okay. Yeah, that's it. But
that's how I've heard his name. I don't know anything else about it.
The thing that happened with Machine Gun Kelly is definitely worth talking about because he got booed the entire time.
Coming up, we'll find out about Machine Gun Kelly and what he did to get booed at this concert. You can share your thoughts with us, 603-283-6160. Then coming up, another person worth booing, the New York governor. We'll tell you what she's up to. It's Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments around the world killing innocent people? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin is money that cannot be inflated or controlled by any state. By continuing to use their money, you're perpetuating the killing. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available to you now. Learn it, use it, spread it.
Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. It's Bitcoin.com. Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
when a lunar observatory detects a radio broadcast originating from Proxima Centauri, the nations of Earth discover their first contact with an alien race may also be their last. With the Proximans facing an extinction-level disaster, Earth must choose between sending a ship on a multi-year journey or allowing nature to take its course. Saving Proxima, a hard science fiction thriller by Travis S. Taylor and Les Johnson from BaneBooks.com.
The Free State Project has reached its goal of 20,000 liberty lovers who've pledged to move to New Hampshire and get active to achieve liberty in our lifetime. Perhaps you're trying to figure out what part of New Hampshire should be your destination. If so, consider Keene. You'll find more than 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com. Keene is famous for its historic, publicity-generating activism, as well as being the liberty media capital of the world. It's home to freekeene.com, New Hampshire's destination for liberty activism, news, and opinion. For years, we've been compiling over 150 reasons to move to Keene at move.freekeene.com, where you'll learn about some of what's happening here and what makes Keene a great place to live. If you love liberty, you'll probably enjoy anywhere you end up in the Shire. But do your due diligence first. Please visit move.freekeene.com for the full list of over 150 reasons to move to Keene. That's move.freekeene.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
There are basically two types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer-term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The number for you is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Of course, you can join us and bring up anything that is on your mind. Also want to let you know that Free Talk Live is brought to you by Intercoin. We've told you about Intercoin. They can help any business or organization launch their own currency or raise money using their own token. And now Intercoin.org has launched worldwide. If there's a token you want to launch or an app that you want to build, you can go to Intercoin.org, enter your email, and the team will get in touch and learn about your needs. And while you're there, if you want, you can get some Intercoins, their investor token, for yourself. Head over to Intercoin.org. Aria is regaling us with stories from the road. She's been on the road for the last week. Well, I mean, you didn't do much driving. You flew down to Kentucky, right?
Right.
Did you rent a car while you were down there?
No, we just used Uber to get around because we were within walking distance of the festival. Like, Gate 6, the entrance was literally right beside our hotel,
nice.
So it was really easy for us to just walk there.
That's convenient.
Yeah, we only really had to get Ubers if we wanted something to go eat.
Now, was the Uber making people put on masks?
They were.
Oh, man.
But it was Kentucky, so almost all of them were like, hey, do you want me to put this on? And we're like, no, we don't really care.
Oh, nice.
So that was nice.
Wait. So you guys were wearing it, but he wasn't?
No, we weren't wearing ours.
Sweet.
Good.
All right,
good.
I'm glad.
I mean, there were some drivers who were like, hey, you need to put a mask on, but it was really, I think it only happened once the whole time we were there.
Well, because the drivers are afraid that Uber's going to can them.
Right.
And the Uber does a check on the driver prior to them, like when they sign on to the app, it makes them take a selfie with a mask on. Otherwise, it won't let them into the app.
And what's their vaccine policy at Uber?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that yet. That may be worth looking into.
That's a big company.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Of course, they're all contractors, so they're not. The drivers aren't employees.
Right.
In that case, although California may be different. I think there was a recent court that overturned the California they had like a ballot measure that people voted for that actually provided some protections to Uber and Lyft, and now that state Supreme Court has overturned that. That's in my show prep. If we get actually, it's not good for. We'll have to get into it because it's not good that they overturned that. But anyway.
I thought I remembered the law that they were overturning being bad.
No, the law actually provided protections to people with contractors.
Looks like all office workers, but not the drivers for Uber.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good to know.
But still, it's up to the passengers. I mean, if they see someone who, they don't think is going to care about them wearing a mask, they're not going to. But if they pull up and they see you wearing a mask, they're going to go ahead and put theirs on.
That makes sense.
So it's largely driver specific. Because, I mean, if you don't want to wear one, you're not going to complain.
Exactly.
And it's easy for them to just say, hey, do you want me to put this on?
Yeah, and that's what they're worried about, is they're worried about somebody complaining, because if they complain, then Uber's going to can them. All right, so you brought up this guy. You went to this concert, Louder Than Life, 4-day-long festival in Kentucky, in Louisville, as I believe they pronounce it down there. You went down there, had a good time, but then there was some guy named Machine Gun Kelly who... I don't know anything about this guy. I saw him in the news because he's with Megan Fox, who I don't think I've seen her in any sort of movies since Transformers, half a decade and a half ago.
Yeah, she is still really hot, though.
Yeah, I remember her on she did some a tech gaming and tech show.
Oh yeah,
many years ago.
Does she actually know anything about gaming or tech?
I don't know. She was just really bubbly and beautiful and snarky, and that's where I remember her from. And then she became a Hollywood star, and then I really lost interest in her because she's dumb.
Yeah,
she's hot.
I've never seen her, speak in any sort of non-acting format, so I don't know how smart she is, but. Apparently she's with this guy, and he doesn't seem like the brightest bulb in the basket. What did this guy do?
This guy's an idiot, right? And as far as I can tell, his entire shtick is that he picks a genre of music, and then he picks a fight with one of the most popular artists in that genre. And then he gets just eviscerated by all of the fans of that genre, and then he has to move on. So I suspect...
But he gets some name recognition as a result of that, because people, spread around the hate.
I suspect his next stunt is going to be to get into country and start a fight with Willie Nelson. I'm not even kidding, because he started out as a rapper, and he picked a fight with Eminem. Now, if you're a rapper and you value your career, that Eminem is the last person you pick a fight with, because he has a long career of putting other rappers' careers to death.
What is he even doing at this event? He came to sing? He came to sing?
Yes.
I'm sorry, rap? Or is he already doing country?
No, he got destroyed. He will never rap again thanks to Eminem.
So what was he doing here?
He wanted to do punk rock sort of thing. I don't know because I don't pay any attention to him.
Like a Limp Bizkit kind of a thing?
I have no idea, dude. I don't pay any attention to him. I just know he's kind of a jerk and he's kind of an idiot.
He looks like straight off of Backstreet Boys or something, or NSYNC.
Yeah, so he started, doing
So he
rock.
showed up on the main stage, or what happened at the show?
He was supposed to go before Snoop Dogg, but Snoop Dogg pulled out evidently because he said that, requiring people to be vaccinated or have a pass or whatever wasn't his style.
Oh, that was what Snoop Dogg, because I heard he pulled out of something. Okay, interesting.
But
so back up. Okay, no, I won't say this. Go on.
Okay. So
I'll ask off air.
Machine Gun Kelly went from being the third act to being the second act right before Disturbed. But evidently, like a week or so ago, he started a fight with Corey Taylor, who is the singer for Slipknot and Stone Sour, two extremely popular rock bands.
Right.
That if you have a brain in your you wouldn't pick a fight with them upon entering the rock genre.
Unless it's like Ian mentioned, it's actually his strategy.
This is how he gets his name out there.
And he was clearly lying when he did it because Corey Taylor took screenshots of their email conversations.
Obviously this is just stupid drama, but what is it? And when you say he picks a fight, you don't mean like he goes up and like physically attacks them.
No, I mean
on
he
stage.
referred to Corey Taylor as a weird 50-year-old wearing weird masks.
So he's like tweeting or something, or in an interview.
He said this at a show.
He's a professional troll.
I see.
And he said that he gave Corey a track because Corey was going to be on his album, and he said the track was so bad it was just unusable, and I would expect that from this 50-year-old who wears a weird mask or whatever. So Corey responded to that by releasing the actual emails of them, discussing it, where Corey said, someone writing the lyrics I'm going to sing isn't my style. I think you should find a different singer for this project. And evidently the emails also showed that Machine Gun Kelly loved what Corey had recorded, but Corey didn't want to proceed with it because
didn't feel right.
Yeah. He wasn't the one writing the lyrics, and he wasn't going to let someone else, So Corey Taylor, who I'm not really a big fan of because Spotify just destroyed my love for Slipknot and Stone Sour because Spotify thinks that everyone loves those two bands a lot more than they do.
So it plays them heavy?
It plays them all the time. I had to block Stone Sour just because it has like 5 songs by them that it plays no matter what playlist you put it on.
All right, so dude, Machine Gun Kelly talks trash about the Slipknot guy.
Yes.
But that was before the event, right?
It was before the event, but not long before.
But the fans never forget.
No, it was only like a week ago that he did this.
Okay.
Like, this is all very, very recent. And the entire time, he was just getting booed and people flipping him off.
Why did this festival put him as a main event kind of secondary headliner opener? Like, what? I mean,
I don't know, man.
Presumably, they must know he's hated.
Yeah,
so why would you put...
But there were some people there who, you know, had MGK stickers on the back of their vehicles. I mean, he did have some fans there, but by and large...
Probably like a troll army, though, right? Like, that's who his fans must be.
I don't know, but I know...
mean, is he good as a musician?
I don't know, but if you're a rock fan and you have to choose between Slipknot and this dude, it's an obvious choice. So anyone there who was actually a metal fan, they're on Slipknot's side in this.
Right.
So he just got booed the entire time. Eventually, some fan got crowd surfed to the front, pushed him. Machine Gun Kelly punched him and then went and hid behind security. It was just a real piece of work, this guy.
Wow. All right, 603-283-6160. That's the number. You can join us here and take control of the airwaves, whether it's rock drama or whatever's on your mind. We'll talk about the New York governor. She's going to be putting the National Guard in the hospitals. Coming up, it's Free Talk Live. Free Talk Live's video archives have been on LBRY for years. LBRY is an uncensorable, decentralized, blockchain-based media sharing protocol, and we're big fans of it here on Free Talk Live. In 2020, LBRY launched Odyssey, a video sharing website to compete with YouTube, and it's really taking off. Now with over 1 million channels, many of whom are disaffected YouTube creators. During YouTube's crackdown for not towing the government line on COVID, the Free Talk Live YouTube channel started receiving strikes and could be completely taken down at any moment. Thankfully, Odyssey started offering live streaming, so we're now streaming live every night and posting our video archives permanently to Odyssey. You can watch live or anytime on our Odyssey channel by visiting video.freetalklive.com. If you want to go all in, download the desktop app at lbry.com, and then every video archive you watch, you'll help seed and keep it online forever. At minimum, we ask you visit video.freetalklive.com and follow us on Odyssey today. video.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in Washington, I'm Simon Marks. 3 of President Biden's top generals are challenging White House claims that there was unanimity among military commanders about the decision to withdraw U.S. forces from Afghanistan. The Senate Armed Services Committee has been taking testimony from Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, General Mark Milley, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and General Frank McKenzie, the head of U.S. Central Command. They all raised questions about President Biden's claim in a TV interview that he was never urged by his commanders to keep forces in Afghanistan. Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas.
President Biden last month in an interview with George Stephanopoulos said that no military leader advised him to leave a small troop presence in Afghanistan. Is that true?
There was a long pause before Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin answered.
Senator Cotton, I believe that well, first of all, I know the president to be an honest and forthright man. And secondly...
It's a simple question, Secretary Austin. He said no senior military leader advised him to leave a small troop presence behind. Is that true or not? Did these officer and General Miller's recommendations get to the president personally?
Their input was received by the president and considered by the president.
General McKenzie told senators that he feared the withdrawal of U.S. forces would lead to the return of the Taliban to power.
I've stated consistently that my position was if you go below 2,500, you're going to look at a collapse of the Afghan military.
In other news, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson says the country's fuel shortages are stabilising. He's urging people not to panic buy, stripping petrol stations of supplies. And he says currently there are no plans to give key workers priority at the pumps.
I understand why people say that, but with the situation now stabilising, with things getting better on the forecourts, I would just really urge everybody to just go about their business in the normal way and fill up when you really need it, and you know, things are will start to improve.
The opposition Labour Party is accusing the Prime Minister of reducing the country to chaos. New York has seen a surge in the number of hospital and nursing home employees getting COVID-19 vaccinations. Monday was the last day healthcare workers could remain employed by the state without being vaccinated. From FSN's bureau in New York, Will Denzelo reports.
A week ago, over 8,000 people working in New York City's public hospital system were unvaccinated against COVID-19. By Monday, that number slid to 5,000. As of midnight, a vaccine mandate came into effect across the state for the roughly 600,000 people working in hospitals and nursing homes. William Denzelo, New York.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live. You can join us here. The number is 603-283-6160. We're talking about antisocial rockers like this guy, Machine Gun Kelly, who is threatening and or, I guess, being rude to other musicians, starting online spats with them in order to get his name out there.
Yeah,
presumably.
create headlines.
And then this other guy from the band Stained. We're talking about this because you were at this concert, Louder Than Life, in Kentucky over the last several days, Aria, and you witnessed some of this in person.
Yeah.
This one guy from the band Stained, the lead singer there, just basically being so effed up and drunk on stage, not even able to really sing very well.
Yeah, he forgot his own lyrics. I suspected he was going to pass out at any moment.
Wow.
And I just briefly looked into it, and evidently this has been going on for quite some time. On July the 22nd, he played a show, and they played the same song twice because he was too hammered to realize what he was supposed to be playing.
Damn.
So, yeah.
They
he still forgot the lyrics.
They just kept on going with it?
I mean, what? Unless you're going to stop the song in the middle of it, you don't really have a choice.
Man,
embarrassing, man.
And then you compared the this guy and his band, these younger guys, to Judas Priest and Metallica, these old guys that basically just came and brought their A game.
Yeah, Metallica played the entire Black album on the last night.
I've got a question for Aria. I've been watching a lot of Alice in Chains Unplugged this month, just like
way back in the 90s,
just like on repeat, because it is so good. It is so good. If you listen to the CD, the official release, you don't hear any slip ups. But if you're actually watching the video, you realize in one of the songs he screws up halfway through and he swears. Music stops.
Really?
And they restart the song.
I mean, bands screw up all the time, and if you're a big enough fan, you can even super well rehearsed bands like Tool, they screw up all the time, and if you know the songs well enough, you can recognize
it. Yeah.
Well,
but I mean,
my question
there's a big difference between that and just sort of forgetting the lyrics to a song halfway through it.
Right, but my question is, you've obviously watched a lot more concerts than I have. How often have you seen that happen, where they just stop and they restart the song, or they replay it like Aaron Lewis did just recently?
I've never seen them I've never seen them just stop in the middle of a song.
Most of the time, the professional way to handle a mistake is you just go. You just skip, just move on.
Of course, this was a specific MTV Unplugged event, and I'm thinking they wanted a good cut at this event, so I guess they were allowed. Hey, if you guys mess up, just go ahead and stop and restart and do it, because this is all going to be forever.
Well, I don't think there's anyone who can tell a band, hey, no, you can't stop halfway through a song and start over.
Right.
But Alice in Chains just has always sort of done their own thing, so I'm not too surprised to hear that they would do that. But it does sound like they were just trying to get that perfect take
for
MTV or whatever.
I think so.
Could be. All right. Did you also see something about Bitcoin in an airport?
I did, on the way back at the Atlanta airport, which I severely underestimated the size of this thing, right?
It is an international airport.
It is, but I mean, supposedly so is Bradley, and New York's airport is
Bradley?
It's called Bradley International, right?
Really?
It is.
I guess as long as they get one flight that's international, it's technically international. But
Louisville is also, I don't know if Louisville is actually international. Memphis is, though.
Atlanta's a hub, though. It's one of the hubs for all the, like the major airlines.
You have to take a train to get around it.
Yeah,
and my plan was, after this, hour and a half flight from Kentucky to Atlanta, that I would just go out and smoke. And I realized almost immediately that wasn't going to happen. And
there's nowhere to go.
There is no outdoors. It's all.
Well, if you get out there, you have to go back through security again,
Right.
which is fine in a lot of places. And then you have to find your way back to the right gate. And looking at the size of this airport, I was like, we only have like an hour and a half.
Yeah, you ain't going to make it.
We ended up having 3 hours. And that's a story about the stupidity of the FAA that I want to talk about as well, that I had forgotten about. We waited an hour and a half on the plane after boarding because of a sticker. Because of a stupid sticker. But yeah, so as we were walking around this airport, we had an hour and a half to kill. There's a marquee sign there, or billboard, whatever it is, that's constantly changing. And sure enough, I have a picture of it as well.
Yeah.
An advertisement for some company at making it easier for people to invest in Bitcoin. And I was, in an international major airport.
Deal.
I was very happy to see that.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, Bitcoin's getting there.
It is. So we finally boarded this flight, right? And we're like, good, I'm going to be home in the next, 3 hours or whatever. But no, the pilot came on and said, hey, we don't have everything we need. We're supposed to have this, but we don't have it. And it turned out to be this cart that we didn't have. We didn't have a waste cart. We had a cart, but it didn't have the word waste written on it.
And this cart was supposed to be like in the underneath of the plane or something like that?
It was one of the carts that the flight attendants wheel around.
They come through the cabin. Okay.
And so I was, we waited there for like an hour and a half, and then finally they brought us a waste cart, and I had an opportunity standing there. I was in first class, so I was right there at the front. I was in 1B, so I could see it all. And the two carts were absolutely identical.
Except for the sticker.
Except one of them had a little sticker on it that said waste, and the other one didn't. And it took them an hour and a half to find one of these, first of all. But we also couldn't fly because of FAA regulations that required that sticker to be there. And we had to sit there for an hour and a half because of it.
Boy, thank goodness the government's looking out for your safety.
Thank goodness I got felt up right before that, because otherwise I would have been in a really bad mood.
Wow.
Absolutely insane, though. The only bad parts of this trip involved the government.
The traveling.
You see, Arya, this is why I don't go anywhere. Ever.
Well,
the last time I went on a plane was about 9 years ago.
Wow.
And I didn't get felt up, but I had to go sit in the angry man's stool for like 15 minutes, and people were just walking by. Everyone was looking at me.
What is the angry man's stool?
That's where the timeout stool, the dunce corner.
This was at the TSA checkpoint?
Yeah.
Now they just arrest you.
I put my carry-on through the little scanner machine. And I got to the other end. I'm waiting for it, and then the sirens went off and the whole nine, and they went through it.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Did you not know you weren't supposed to have a laptop in your carry-on? You're supposed to take your laptop out." I was like, "How the hell am I supposed to know that?
Right.
I don't
Did you
travel."
tell me? No,
you didn't tell me. No one told. I didn't see any signs, and then they showed me the sign. It's just a little tiny. It's like a little sticker there. So, anyways.
Oh, the TSA is stupid, dude.
While I was waiting, I had to wait 15 minutes while they went through my entire carry-on and pulled my laptop out, and that was it. I can't handle that.
What about the masks on the airline? How did that go for you?
The same as it did for you. If you have a drink or food in front of you, they just leave you alone. Plus, we're in first class, so they're not likely to harass us anyway.
Less likely to mess with you. Less likely to have somebody next to you or whatever. You still have somebody next to you, right, in first class? I've never actually been in first class before.
On some of them, you do. I would highly recommend it. It's so much more comfortable. And right now, it's not that much more expensive than economy. But on some of them, you do. On others, like the left side of the plane is only one seat for first class.
Yeah. Okay.
But if I had someone sitting beside me, it was the friend with whom I went. So it was never an issue.
Helps.
Yeah.
And what airline was this?
Delta.
Delta.
And they left us alone because.
Did you pick Delta just to be smarky?
No, why?
Delta variant.
COVID.
Oh, no. I didn't pick the airline. I usually fly American.
Pick based on price.
I wonder if they've actually been hurt on tickets in the past 6 months.
Well, there's a reason that first class is not much more expensive than economy right now.
Yeah, I'm thinking
numbers are down.
People are just subconsciously not going with Delta because it's just Delta.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, man.
People buy whatever's cheapest,
See, I think it's...
People are crazy, Ian. Come on, it's 2021.
I don't think it's that. I think people just, they pick what's cheapest the first time, and then they just stick with that airline. Because that's what I did. I ended up flying American Airlines for my first ever flight, and then every time I needed another flight, I just went straight to them because I was already familiar with them.
Well, I was Southwest. I know that they had there's been some unruly passengers who've taken care of the situation in the past. There's been a lot of neat headlines that have come from Southwest,
We didn't have any of those.
and their cheap tickets.
Yeah. I mean, there's always a possibility you're going to get one of those people who wanted to be famous on YouTube or whatever. Mm-hmm. So if I was going to, sit there for an hour and a half in boarding, I would have rather that have been the reason than the stupid TSA sticker.
Wow.
But yeah. TSA still has no better of a sense of humor than they did the last time I flew, though.
They probably hate themselves. They did. I could never. I can't even understand people who could do that every single day. Take that job.
I mean, their job is to molest trans people. Realistically,
everybody. They molest everybody.
But if you're trans, you're guaranteed to get molested.
Well, I also do every time because I opt out of the scanner. So I always get a pat down. 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Coming up, the New York governor proclaims the vaccine comes from God. We've got the audio coming up here on Free Talk Live.
This is Michael Dean from the Freedom Fiends. I've run websites since 1996 and have used over a dozen web hosts in that time. AgristHosting.com is the only one that hasn't broken my heart. Agrist Hosting's uptime and service is stellar, and their DDoS mitigation is the best I've seen. That's important because if you tell the truth in this world, you'll ruffle feathers. And some people will try dirty tricks to silence your voice. No matter what the haters hit us with, Agrist Hosting keeps our websites online. If you have a mission-critical commercial presence or a world-changing activism site, you cannot tolerate any skullduggery. So go with agristhosting.com. Have a WordPress or blog site, but you're not satisfied with performance or uptime? Or just want raw hosting? Want to pay with Bitcoin? Agrist Hosting specializes in high-performance hosting with personalized service. Go to agristhosting.com and click on the button that says Get Hosted. That's agristhosting.com.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
We have some good news. The indictments against Ross Ulbricht in the District of Maryland were dismissed with prejudice, meaning they can never be refiled. This is especially good because those indictments contain the only charge ever made that Ross engaged in murder for hire. This was a serious allegation that Ross Ulbricht denies. It was never prosecuted or ruled on by a jury, but was trumpeted by the federal government and the media as if it were proven fact. The Maryland court held these indictments for almost 5 years, poisoning Ross's case and leaving him under a cloud of unproven allegations. As explained in Ross's appeal to the Supreme Court, the fact that the judge used these allegations to give Ross a draconian sentence of double life without parole violated his Sixth Amendment right to a jury trial. Judges are required to issue sentences based on convictions decided by a jury, not unproven allegations never even charged at trial. Although this is a positive development, the dropped indictment will not set Ross free. Now, a presidential pardon is Ross's only hope of freedom. Sign the petition at freeross.org. freeross.org.
Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live. The number, if you want to join us here, 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Tonight, with you, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Conan.
And don't forget, Free Talk Live is brought to you by Bitcoin.com. If you are ready to learn about cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash, then Bitcoin.com can help you with that. You head over there and click on Get Started at the top of the page, and that is where you will find a lot of valuable information, including a quick 3-minute long introductory video that'll teach you the basics. And, you know, cryptocurrency is not leaving our life experience anytime soon. Probably going to be with us for generations, if not forever. It's
maybe more in our lives in the future.
Yeah, it's a pretty important technology. So if you haven't taken the time out to learn a little bit about it, Bitcoin.com can help you with that. Plus, you can dig as deep as you want to. There's more than one video there, obviously, that you can watch. But go and get the basics. Click Get Started at the top of the page at Bitcoin.com. Or if you're not new to crypto, you want the latest news headlines, then head over to news.bitcoin.com. That's news.bitcoin.com. All right, Conan, you and I had the same story tonight about, and that's usually an indicator we should talk about a thing, because we all do our own independent show prep. And you had the story also about the New York governor. No, not Cuomo. He's gone now. Some people remember when Cuomo got kicked out of office? Aria, you looked surprised.
No, I remember there was like some drama around him, but I don't.
Yeah, got it. He resigned.
He was a molester. He was a workplace molester.
I know. He's a politician. That's what they do.
But he did something else.
They have entire agencies designed to molest people.
He did something else which they basically swept under the rug, which is far more dire than feeling up your workforce. I'm talking about the 15,000 old people who succumbed under his.
Was it that many of them?
Oh yeah.
Did he resign over that?
No.
He should be in prison because of that. But no. This other thing came up about him putting his hands on his lady employees, and that's what got him to finally resign.
Not killing 15,000 old people.
Oh no,
correct.
people don't remember any part of that. I mean, you didn't even know you thought he was still in office.
And but that's because I don't care about
me
politics.
neither. I don't care either. But you see the headlines sometimes.
Well,
and
he was the face of the COVID-19 response and how to do it right.
Remember, he won an Emmy.
He got a
Didn't they take it back? Didn't they take the Emmy back or something like that?
I don't know if you can take them back.
I think they did.
Well, he needs to be in jail, actually. But
well,
so now
he won't be in jail. You know that's not going to happen.
Well, I don't know if he's going to get his book either.
Oh, he had like a book deal coming out?
Of course he did.
Someone would give him a book deal.
Well,
yeah, probably.
Give him a couple years, let it stew a little bit, and then more people forget about what actually happened. Dead people died. And by the way, it wasn't just Cuomo. It was a bunch of other Democrat-run states who did the exact same thing he did, which was basically put infected COVID-19 patients and housed them in old people's homes, the retirement homes.
Yes.
Well, his brother also is now being accused of sexual harassment.
Good. He's another creep.
Chris Cuomo.
Fredo,
yeah. Yeah.
But
so that was Trump's name for this guy, and it really pissed him off.
They have really strong. Both of them have really strong Italian accents, and they they got this.
I remember watching them have an argument about which one was their mom's favorite on national television.
Both of them are just strange. They're just weird, and they really like the camera on them. They like to get it all out there and talk about their.
Apparently they like molesting women.
Well, he's been replaced by another loony.
Well, okay, that's the thing is like. People were passing around this news headline about Cuomo resigning. Oh, he's gone. All right. He's just going to be replaced by another scum-sucking politician, whoever the hell the lieutenant governor, because they have that. We don't have a lieutenant governor here in New Hampshire, but they have them in a lot of states, and New York's one of those places. And that's
basically a vice president who takes over in the event something happens to the president.
Correct. And her name is Kathy Hochul, and she is now in the news. Because, well, as you may have heard, there are various different state governments who've told the medical establishment, hey, you better mandate vaccines amongst all of your employees, all you hospitals and doctors' offices and wherever else they're requiring this, or else, we're going to punish you.
Hospitals are like, hey, look, we already have almost no staff.
No, the hospitals are saying, okay, we'll do what you say.
Well, they get a lot of money.
Yeah,
they get a lot of money from the state and from the feds. I mean, think of all the COVID money they get for every COVID patient.
So this woman, the governor now of New York in Albany, according to the AP, said she is going to be calling in National Guard members, retirees, and workers from outside of New York who are medically trained to address potential staffing shortages caused by an approaching vaccine mandate for healthcare workers, which, from what I understand, goes into effect yesterday. So today was the drop dead date.
Not Monday?
Monday would have been yesterday.
Oh, well, look where I am.
Yeah.
And it seems pretty consistently 20% of the workforce across the board just isn't going to be pressured into getting vaccinated by these mandates.
No, and I've heard it's like 17% in New York. So there's going to be huge layoffs.
That's still close to 20%.
Yeah, well, but here's the question. She's talking about outside states, licensed professionals outside the state, and or federal employees, National Guard and whatnot.
National Guard's the only option. The ones employed outside of the state aren't going to leave to come to New York.
Well, if they're getting paid 4 times as much, they will.
This is a growing concern.
Yeah, but every hospital is going to have to offer them that soon because they're going to be facing the same issues.
This is a growing. I won't say scam, but many health professionals are taking advantage of the travel bonus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
They're like, of course I'll drive another 50 miles to work every single day if I'm going to get,
2x, 3x, 4x.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so many professionals are taking advantage of this.
Mm-hmm.
But where is she? She's talking about she's going to have staffing shortages in her hospitals.
Yeah.
But so is everyone else.
Yep.
So where the hell does she think she's going to get these people from?
It's going to be
including the National Guard. No, they're going to have their own shortages.
But they're under orders. I mean,
and I don't think shortages within the National Guard was the United States can invade one less country a year. Oh no.
Yeah, but they're having their own shortages because they have their own staff that are refusing to take this vaccine and so are going to be
but
discharged.
how many National Guards people are like doctors and nurses and stuff? It can't be many.
Yeah, it can't be.
There's a handful. I remember I used to.
See, they're going to pick your average weekend warrior and get them doing hospital stuff now.
As long as they're vaccinated.
Yeah, but probably 80% of them are. Or at least willing to get vaccinated.
But still, if every option...
Yeah, but who cares if we lose National Guard employees? That's just a good thing in my book.
Ari, what I'm saying is every option, out-of-state licensed professionals, National Guard, they're all going to have shortages. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So... And I suspect that because
I'm not seeing why a National Guard shortage would affect the hospitals, though. It just means they have a slightly less large pool of people to bring in.
I suspect other governors are going to see what she's doing and say, "Oh, wow, we're having shortages as well. Mm-hmm. We would like some of those National Guards." So everyone's going to be picking, and it's not going to happen. Not to mention they have to travel. So I don't know how it works when it's First of all, she has to prove that it's a national emergency to get National Guard to use the National Guard.
Aren't there?
I thought that was a state thing.
I think it's a state thing as well.
I'm not sure how that works.
National Guard, as I understand it, is state control.
Yeah, but these are weekend warriors. You can't just take someone from their job because
you call them up. That's exactly what they're there for.
Yeah, they learned that in Iraq, dude, and they were seriously upset about it. They're like, wait, I just wanted my Camaro and my paid for college.
Yeah, they thought it was a weekend a month or whatever, and then wait, you can call me up to duty full time,
right?
And so that's what they're going to do. They're going to say, all right, well, now we need you.
Okay.
Your country, your state needs you. Come on in.
Here's another way to look at it. These National Guards, they are health professionals.
Well, it says, quote, unquote, medically trained.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know what that really even means.
Most of the medically trained National Guard that I worked with when I was in the military
are actual
nurses, doctors, and whatnot. So they are going to be full-time, and they do the weekend thing. And they do 2 weeks of straight camping.
So what you're saying is they probably already work in the industry.
They're already working in the industry. So now they got to be pulled from the other side of New York to come, go to New York City. So the shortages are going to be created everywhere. It's going to be
it'll just readjust
it's
the
endless.
shortage.
It's endless.
Yeah, interesting. If you're in the National Guard in New York and you want to weigh in on, what the buzz is around this, feel free to call us up here. The number is 603-283-6160. Many healthcare workers, according to, this is, by the way, the story here, military.com and the AP, have not yet received a requested or required first shot of the COVID-19 vaccine days before the deadline, leaving the prospect of potentially thousands of healthcare workers being forced off the job next week. The order would allow healthcare professionals who are licensed in other states or countries, are recent graduates, or are formerly practicing healthcare professionals to practice in New York, she said, noting she is exploring ways to expedite visa requests for medical professionals. She said she has the option of deploying National Guard members and partnering with the federal government to deploy disaster medical assistance teams.
Yeah,
but these are going to be needed in every single state that imposes these mandates.
And I do think she needs to declare a state of emergency. And I don't know.
It's probably still a state of emergency.
I don't know if she can just do that. Just snap her fingers and do it?
Yeah, that's usually what happens in these cases. That's why Sununu was going crazy, because he declared a state of emergency and got all these new powers. I suspect New York has never had their state of emergency come to an end.
Nope.
It's New York. More coming up. Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it! You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. U.S. markets posted heavy losses Tuesday as Treasury yields rose to the highest level seen in around 3 months. And those fears over a possible government shutdown also weighed on investor sentiment. William Denzilo reports from New York.
The 10-year Treasury yield rose again Tuesday as traders brace for the Federal Reserve to soon begin tapering its monthly bond buying program. An expected relaxing of the Fed's accommodative policies could have a major bearing on the tech sector. By the close of trading Tuesday, Facebook and Alphabet both fell more than 3.5%. Those losses dragged the tech-heavy Nasdaq down sharply. It fell 2.8%, marking its worst day of trading since March. The Dow also slipped 1.6%, while the S&P fell 2%. Those developments in the nation's capital also weighed on Wall Street. Addressing the Senate Banking Committee, Jerome Powell warned that inflation could linger longer than predicted. William Denzilo, New York.
Lawmakers have questioned top U.S. military leaders over the withdrawal from Afghanistan in a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing. They answered questions over tactical decisions during chaotic evacuations and on future counterterrorism operations. Carolyn Malone reports from Washington.
Defense Secretary Austin, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Milley, and U.S. Central Command Leader General McKenzie gave opening statements and answered questions on the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. General Milley said the assessments he received said the withdrawal of U.S. forces would hasten the collapse of the Afghan military and government within a few months, but not the possibility it could happen as fast as it did. The military chiefs were asked whether the Afghanistan evacuation and mistakes damaged the credibility of the U.S. around the world. General Milley said that's being reviewed and damage to the U.S. reputation is one word that could be used. Caroline Malone, Washington.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has urged people to stop panic buying after numerous petrol stations around the nation ran out of fuel. Industry experts say there is no shortage of fuel supply in the UK. Instead, the issue lies with a lack of heavy goods vehicles drivers to deliver it. Chris Jones has more in London.
Across the UK, thousands have sat in long queues eager to get fuel, and because of the heightened consumer demand, petrol stations have run dry. On Tuesday, Boris Johnson said he sympathised with those who have been unable to fill up because of panic buyers, but was adamant that things were improving.
We now are starting to see the situation improve. We're hearing from industry that supplies are coming back onto the forecourts in the normal way, and I would just really urge everybody to just go about their business in the normal way and fill up in the normal way when you really need it.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in greater detail at the panic buying in the UK that over the weekend resulted in many of the country's petrol stations running dry. It took place after the government's transport secretary said there was no reason for the public to panic, but the shortage of truck drivers in Britain able to get fresh supplies moving has now been revealed for all to see. Howard Cox founded Fair Fuel UK, a motoring campaign group backed by the haulage industry. He says the British authorities have been extensively warned for months of the looming crisis.
There are tankers sitting there full of petrol and diesel around the country waiting to come along and fill up these forecourts. And the only ones who can do this is the military. The 5,000 visas or for European drivers, that's completely wouldn't touch the sides. It's not enough. And really, what's the point in coming over here for 3 months just to actually deliver what you've left anyway? I mean, the government have got themselves into this situation. The petrol and diesel is in the fuel supply chain. It's there. What we need to do is just get drivers, bums on seats to deliver those tankers to the forecourts.
There are efforts underway, as he indicated, to offer temporary visas to drivers from Eastern Europe to return to truck driving jobs in Britain. Haulage executives say thousands of applications for licences remain delayed as a result of COVID-19, and they're urging rapid action to clear the backlog. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. U.S. markets post heavy losses as Treasury yields rise to the highest level in around 3 months. U.S. lawmakers question top military leaders over the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson urges people to stop panic buying after numerous petrol stations run out of fuel. That is the latest feature story news. Ira Spitzer reporting.
Jack Daniels announced today its plan to start marketing directly to children, adding, quote, "Why not?" Executives for the whiskey company told reporters that they've already slated dozens of television spots showing 10-year-old children drinking tumblers of Jack and Coke in playgrounds, and that the company was planning on, quote, "just seeing how it all played out."
Every year, Jack Daniels sells millions of dollars of great American whiskey to men and women all over the world. So, for our next ad campaign, we basically just thought, hey, why not just start marketing this stuff straight to 10-year-olds? I mean, if they catch us, they catch us, but we'll see how far it goes, and hopefully we can sell some alcohol along the way. Sure, some parents groups could get upset, especially if we go with our idea of moms serving their kids cranberry Jack at snack time. But
in other news, a doomed rabbit will teach an 8-year-old a lesson about responsibility, and a torrent of soap issues from a wildly unexpected part of the dispenser. Well, that was it. It's all downhill from here, bud. For more, visit theonion.com.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live. It is Free Talk Live, and we are kicking off the second hour of the program here. We've been talking about the New York governor. No, not Cuomo. He's gone now. The other terrible human being that is running one of the largest criminal enterprises on the face of the United States, the New York gang. Her name is Kathy Hochul. And
I don't know what nationality that name comes from, but it sounds like one of those names that is going to result in someone being a bad person. Like we have Elizabeth Dragon here in Keene.
Yeah, that's right.
And Hochul just sounds like not going to be a pleasant person.
Yeah, she is going to mandate, apparently, that the National Guard members check in for hospital work because, well, hospitals are going to be having to fire roughly 20% of their staffs, given that they haven't gotten the vaccine, and New York State is mandating that they must if they want to continue working. That deadline was yesterday. We're going to continue on the story here, but go to your calls and thoughts first. It's Ian, Aria, and Conan in the studio tonight. Let's go to Sam. He's in Ohio, an online podcast listener. Go ahead, Sam.
Yeah, I just remember hearing you, Ian, talking about yesterday the debt ceiling and your thoughts on that. And I just wanted to hear what you would have to say to the fact of, like, how likely do you think they are to not raising it? I remember you debating that.
Yeah, well, we did talk extensively about this on last night's show. So if people really want to hear a lot of in-depth discussion about the debt ceiling and the monetary crisis happening here in the United States, check out last night's show. You can go to freetalklive.com. Actually, our download buttons are kind of broken, so you should go to our SoundCloud to get it directly. But there's a story on the front page that kind of gives you instructions on how to work around it. But, as far as my thoughts on whether or not they're going to raise it, yeah, of course they're going to raise it.
They do every time.
Every time they're going to raise it. But it was interesting. I did see a chart today showing the debt ceiling and the debt. And so it shows, like, the debt ceiling is just a constant series of steps, right? Like, it does... They always increase it. Now, whether they're going to raise it or get rid of it entirely, I think, is a more interesting
They're going to get
question.
rid of it entirely because that's the point the American empire is at.
Yeah,
it's going to collapse.
Right. Yeah, but that would the problem is we have two tribes that are at war with each other.
That's right.
They're on the same team. Most people people don't realize that, but they're playing a fight.
Correct.
Now the conservatives,
it's like professional wrestling.
The Republicans are supposed to,
except not as much fun, and
they're supposed to support this idea that we shouldn't go over a certain amount. And they argue that it's going to be dangerous if we go into more debt than we already in, and their constituents.
They're not wrong on that note.
Well, they always talk the talk, but eventually they cave and they raise the debt ceiling. Mm-hmm. My thinking is they are going to, I don't know, maybe kick this can down the road a little bit and let the American people suffer. Let's close some parks. Let's close some monuments. Let's show the American people how badly the Democrats have screwed up. And then 2022 comes around, and in a landslide, Republicans get the votes that they need to take everything, with the exception of the presidency.
Yeah, but if the Republicans don't vote for the thing, then they will also get the blame for "quote unquote" making this happen.
No, I don't think so. I think most Americans, even Democrats, realize who's calling the shots right now.
So?
Oh
okay.
yeah, look at Biden.
They'll all point fingers at each other, though.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was at fault last time.
I don't either. I mean, because like I said, two sides of the same coin. They're both on the same team. Yeah. But most people don't realize. But look at these sports arenas across the country, and the new chant they have. I don't know if you've seen these.
Biden.
F Biden.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I have not seen that.
Trust me, the country is blaming one person right now.
Hmm.
And I don't know if it's
which
because
is typical and
your
also
average
incorrect.
conservative NFL fan may be blaming Biden.
His own,
but they were also upset about Colin Kaepernick. So,
his own supporters are blaming him.
I don't know.
They're like, he's not doing enough. He's not locking us down enough. Harder, Daddy. Harder.
I can't imagine that there are a whole lot of diehard Biden supporters who are going to NFL games at this time.
No. I'm talking about the academics, the professionals, the doctors who are talking about how he hasn't locked us down hard enough. Hollywood is a big one. They want him to lock us down harder, and they're saying he hasn't done enough.
Well, what do you think, Sam?
My thinking being that if I had to guess, they're just going to suspend the debt ceiling, like Aria was saying. But
I think they're going to eliminate it.
I don't think the Republicans are going to let it happen because it's their supporters want the Republicans. The Republicans want us to have a debt ceiling to keep us from going overboard, which we do every year.
It's just the illusion.
They just want the illusion. Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And people buy it.
Yep.
Thank you, Sam, for the call tonight. I appreciate it, man. The number here is 603-283-6160. There is a story over at Vox.com, obviously a left-leaning opinion site that talks about what they consider to be an obvious solution proposed by Georgetown law professor and congressional procedure expert David Super would be for Democrats to use the budget reconciliation process to eliminate the debt ceiling with a majority vote in the Senate, which they technically have, don't they? Right? Because isn't it like 50-49?
I'm not sure how they're stacked this year.
49-49, and then, of course, the vice president is the tiebreaker vote in that case, and she's a Democrat. The path faces myriad procedural obstacles, though, and unless Congress moves decisively toward pursuing it, the Biden administration needs to think about backup options. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Then they bring up minting super high-value coins, like $1 trillion coin.
Yep.
Oh, they're bringing that back out.
Yeah. Now, Biden's administration, according to a story we read last night, has already rejected that idea. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this all pans out in the next few weeks. I do tend to agree with you, Arya, that at the last minute, they're going to do something. They will, they may have a quote-unquote government shutdown, but within a number of, few weeks, they'll come out of it and they'll be back. I just wish they would shut down forever. Wouldn't that be wonderful?
Yes, it would.
They're going to argue that they have to raise... I wish they would actually shut down.
Yeah, for real. All in.
They're going to argue that they have to raise the debt ceiling or they have to eliminate it in order to pay for all of this COVID-19 spending and all of that. And it's just going to be an increase of the problem we've seen for the last 100 years, just more inflation, and now there's no limit to it.
Well, I don't think it's going to happen, but I actually wish that it would.
It's the first step of the actual
collapse.
Starting the collapse, yes. Of the American Empire.
Bring it on.
Conan the Collapsitarian, I totally agree with this. I'm ready for it.
Yeah.
I've been preparing for it for 4 years.
See, I don't see a societal collapse coming, but I do see a collapse of the American Empire coming. I think in New Hampshire, there's enough...
I think we'll weather it here.
Yeah, there's enough infrastructure. There's enough farmers.
There's enough freedom,
fine.
too.
Yeah.
I do believe we'll balkanize. I believe the country will break up.
Yes.
Can't happen soon enough.
I don't think it'll have a choice.
It's going to have to. And
By the way,
the states are going to... The money's not going to be there. This is the only thing that's keeping the country together. States are getting money from the feds.
Yeah.
Once that's no longer an option, it's like we don't have to listen to you. You're not giving us any money because your money's no good to us.
Well, speaking on that, Conan, I actually had a story tonight, and I don't know if we'll get to it, but it's New Hampshire Public Radio writing a story about headline: Established New Hampshire libertarian activists drive coronavirus protests. Isn't that interesting? We're being called established now, the libertarians here in New Hampshire. When has that ever happened? First of all, the media never reports on libertarians outside of New Hampshire, very rarely. It almost never happens. But to call us established libertarians, that's ooh, we're the establishment.
Well, at least it's not the Free State establishment.
But here's the thing.
Because I know that's who it is, right? But
that's who's behind these things, yeah. So, but what they bring up in one of these, in one part of this article, is the New Hampshire legislature apparently rejected, I believe it was $27 million in federal funding.
Good.
Recently. Yeah, here it is. Just days after a large September anti-vax protest at the State House, which of course are really pro-choice protests, but that's how the New Hampshire Public Radio is going to call it, where the protesters heckled Republican lawmakers, a legislative committee turned down $27 million in federal money meant to boost the state's vaccination efforts. The Republican chairperson of that committee, Representative Kenneth Whaler, who I'd have never heard of before.
Wait, hold on. Just say $27 million to boost the
vaccination.
To advertise.
Yeah. Or whatever. He said, this is the chairman of the committee that turned it down, said he simply didn't believe what state health officials were saying about COVID infections and cited disinformation about the efficacy of vaccines, saying, quote, there's no one in government you can trust, unquote. This is the head of a committee.
Good.
In New Hampshire. You gotta love being in New Hampshire. More coming up.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
Brute force, intransigent defiance, adamantine will. These are the hallmarks of the AI tank. These gigantic machines have the firepower of an army, but they also have their own sense of honor and duty. When the world breakers arrive, battle will be joined, planets will shake, and war and peace will never be the same again. World Breakers. Stories from David Weber, Larry Correia, and more. Available August 3rd from BaneBooks.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at Bitcoin.com. That's Bitcoin.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 27th through July 3rd for the 6th annual Fork Fest at Rogers Campground in the beautiful White Mountains of New Hampshire. Fork Fest is a fork of the Porcupine Freedom Festival, which sold out for the first time in 2021. Fork Fest takes place the week after Pork Fest, but Fork Fest is decentralized, which means that there's no ticket cost and no one is in charge. All you have to do to join the fun is reserve your camping site, RV site, or motel room with Rogers Campground for June 27th through July 3rd. There's no better place to celebrate Independence Day than around other freedom-loving activists in the Shire. You can find out more at the unofficial website, forkfest.party. You can also connect with other attendees on the Forkfest Telegram and Matrix chat rooms, as well as the Forkfest Forum. You can find links to those at forkfest.party. We hope to see you there. Forkfest.party. The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
Are you tired of your taxes funding endless occupations around the world? Antiwar.com is run by people who understand that wars abroad become wars at home, wars on our freedoms. Antiwar.com is dedicated to bringing you the latest in news, views, interviews, and reviews from the top movers and shakers in the anti-occupation movement. Antiwar.com has it all, from thorough foreign policy analysis to interviews with whistleblowers who used to run the military-industrial complex. Anti-war, pro-free market. That's antiwar.com.
We're still not sure why you'd want to watch, but our video feed is streaming nightly for free at cam.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. Open phones here if you want to join us. The number 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. They may be moving in National Guard members to hospitals in New York State. And we can talk about that or what's going on with you. If you want to take control of the airwaves, you can here. Whatever's on your mind goes. With you in the studio tonight, it's Ian.
Aria.
And Conan.
We just had a caller asking about the debt ceiling situation, which is coming to it's coming to a head here pretty fast. They say the U.S. government the federal government Treasury may run out of money coming up as soon as October 18th. So we're talking about 3 weeks from now. And what they were saying recently was they don't even really know for sure. That's just their best guess now.
Because they don't know how much money they're spending,
correct.
Right?
They have no idea how much money they're spending because due to COVID.
That's all the more reason not to raise the debt ceiling for any responsible. If you can't figure out what your household budget is, don't raise your credit card limit.
Correct. This is exactly the military. I mean, they don't even know. They haven't known how much they've spent in forever. When we can get the military audits? That's what I want to know, because that's where most of the money's going.
There's billions and billions, hundreds of billions just going away.
Just
didn't the
going
Pentagon lose like $6 trillion recently?
Like that, trillions of dollars, over some period of 20 years or something like that.
Like, how do you lose a count of $6 trillion?
So the story here over at Vox about the debt ceiling has a couple of suggestions. They say the Biden administration could do things without asking Congress. Apparently, they say.
In theory, I guess he could just declare a national emergency and increase it that way, right? Or abolish it.
Well, I don't know. Here are the 4 things they suggest. Minting super high-value coins to fund the government.
How is that? That's not going to get you around the debt ceiling, though, because you have to borrow that amount from the Federal Reserve Bank.
No.
This is the pay to bank back.
No, yeah. See, if you mint a coin,
and guess who doesn't want that?
So this is just minting a coin and writing the word trillion on it and giving it to the Fed. Dude, I love everything about it. Use their own game against them.
So 28 of those coins, give them
29.
Walk them in there and hand it. Put them on Yellen's desk.
I say, we're all paid now.
We're good to go.
Yeah, because
dude, I love that. I'm in favor of this idea now.
Well, because remember, the Treasury or whatever isn't the same thing as the Federal Reserve, so the mint is not under the control of the Federal Reserve. So if they want to mint a coin, that's constitution. It's a constitutional power of government.
That's actually the way that it should be.
Yeah.
And they can put whatever number on it they want.
Not some other entity out there floating about who are not under the government's control at all and who are not federal, even though they call themselves the Federal Reserve. And they're also not a reserve, by the way.
But and I'm also with you on this, Aria. We didn't really get into this one because it was mentioned in the story last night, but we didn't really dig deep into it because they already claim they're not going to do this. Because the Federal Reserve would not be happy.
They would not be happy at all.
That. And it would absolutely.
That's all the more reason to do it, though.
Right. But the problem, of course, from their perspective is, they don't want to piss off the Federal Reserve, number one, because they're buddies, they're banking buddies. And number two, it would cause some serious economic consequences for, various different investors and things like that, and people who are counting on these treasury bonds to, be able to get paid back and still hold some value or whatever. So,
counterpoint, though, it would be really funny.
It would be amazing. It would be amazing because technically it would eliminate the national debt in one fell swoop. But then what would the government have to hold over our heads, right? Like they love having the national debt. Oh, every person on the United States every taxpayer owes over $200,000 for the national debt, which is currently, by the way, the numbers.
When I looked into it a few years ago, it was $66,666 per American.
Yep. Yeah,
but that wasn't per taxpayer.
Right.
Yeah. But still, $66,000 per American.
3 other options they suggest here. They could invoke the 14th Amendment to nullify the debt ceiling. They don't explain exactly what that would mean. Issue more debt as the, quote, least illegal, unquote, option available to the Treasury.
Wait, say that one more time.
Issuing more debt as the, quote, least illegal option available to the Treasury.
So is this person making the argument that all of these things would be illegal for the government to do?
No, minting the coins would not be illegal.
Yeah,
but it's more illegal than this option.
But is that an act of Congress, or are they actually suggesting that Biden just do all 4 of these things?
Yeah, they're suggesting that Biden could just do this.
Well, he's kind of doing it anyways, and all the governors out there as well. Just executive mandate one after the other.
And the final one here is creating a new class of bond to fund the government while it cannot issue new Treasury bonds. They say each of these actions would effectively make the debt ceiling law a dead letter. Congress, or a minority thereof, would no longer be able to threaten default as a means of extracting concessions from the president, and the single biggest source of interbranch conflict in the federal government would cease to exist. The short term...
No, that's not... We want more conflict between the branches of government. That's the point.
The short-term political implications could be tough for the Biden administration to bear, but if the choice is between default and a presidential power grab, a power grab is the only defensible course of action, according to Vox.com. A responsible leader, they say, does not plunge his people into a wholly preventable financial crisis. If backed against a wall, Biden mustn't flinch. He must kill the debt ceiling once and for all.
By grabbing more power.
Yes, and that's what people on the left are advocating for here in this situation.
I told you, they say Biden's not doing enough.
Yeah,
they want a stronger tyrant.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so you can comment on that if you want to. Again, the number here is 603-283-6160.
With the exception of basically just walking away from the federal government, which we're all in favor of, and just doing our own thing over here in New Hampshire and dealing with our own tyrant kings, rulers.
Sununu, yeah.
But at least we know where he lives.
I think if we seceded, though, Sununu would straighten up pretty quickly. As okay, we don't want to lose Cheshire County or we don't want to lose Sullivan County. Let's back off a little bit.
He's the federal government's bitch. He's going to go down with the ship if he has to defend the federal government. But I agree with you. His power will be lessened if he doesn't have the feds back.
Yeah. So say we were trying to actually save the government.
Of New Hampshire or the federal government?
The federal government.
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
What would be our strategy for getting out of this money problem? Or is there even
Tell them to start doing something to earn cryptocurrency or some other useful actual.
Is there even a solution?
No, there's no solution. It's too far gone.
Too far gone?
There's no turning this thing around. There's no end beyond total disaster for the federal government. How else? I mean, the laws of economics cannot be avoided forever, and they're going to come calling at some point. You know, they keep on pushing it down the road,
but eventually you can't do that anymore.
No, eventually it's time's up.
Well, if they keep killing old people, that might solve some of the problem.
So let's get back to the New York State situation, because as you predicted, Conan, it's likely going to be a bunch of governors around the country that are going to start mandating National Guard members
all national disasters
and turn themselves in for duty at their local hospitals. According to the story here at the AP and military.com, the governor in New York, Miss Kathy Hochul, says she's monitoring the staffing situation closely, and we have a plan to increase our healthcare workforce and help alleviate the burdens on our hospitals and other healthcare facilities. And if it goes as well as every other government plan does, well, then it's going to be a total disaster.
Absolutely.
Just look at the VA.
Exactly. We can continue here. Your calls and thoughts are welcome. And we'll get into the audio that I have of this woman speaking at some kind of a church conference. I'll figure out which church it was, but she got up on the podium and literally said that the vaccine comes from God.
I can actually kind of see your point.
We'll play this audio for you coming up here in moments. You can join us as well. It's Free Talk Live.
If you want to bring more liberty into your community, there's something you should see. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, break through. It's true. It's truly something new. If you'd like to see real prosperity, start your own currency, boost the economy. Intercoin, the movement you might want to join. If you like Bitcoin, its impact's hard to overstate, results you can appreciate. If you're tired of relying on the state, want to make your own community great, homelessness and hunger to eliminate, let the wealth accumulate. Don't wait for the growth rate to accelerate. Go to intercoin.org and get the coins for yourself.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. U.S. markets posted heavy losses Tuesday as Treasury yields rose to the highest level seen in around 3 months. And those fears over a possible government shutdown also weighed on investor sentiment. William Denzelo reports from New York.
The 10-year Treasury yield rose again Tuesday as traders brace for the Federal Reserve to soon begin tapering its monthly bond buying program. An expected relaxing of the Fed's accommodative policies could have a major bearing on the tech sector. By the close of trading Tuesday, Facebook and Alphabet both fell more than 3.5%. Those losses dragged the tech-heavy Nasdaq down sharply. It fell 2.8%, marking its worst day of trading since March. The Dow also slipped 1.6%, while the S&P fell 2%. Those developments in the nation's capital also weighed on Wall Street. Addressing the Senate Banking Committee, Jerome Powell warned that inflation could linger longer than predicted. William Denzelo, New York.
Lawmakers have questioned top U.S. military leaders over the withdrawal from Afghanistan in a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing. They answered questions over tactical decisions during chaotic evacuations and on future counterterrorism operations. Carolyn Malone reports from Washington.
Defense Secretary Austin, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Miley, and U.S. Central Command Leader General McKenzie gave opening statements and answered questions on the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. General Miley said the assessments he received said the withdrawal of U.S. forces would hasten the collapse of the Afghan military and government within a few months, but not the possibility it could happen as fast as it did. The military chiefs were asked whether the Afghanistan evacuation and mistakes damaged the credibility of the U.S. around the world. General Miley said that's being reviewed and damage to the U.S. reputation is one word that could be used. Caroline Malone, Washington.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has urged people to stop panic buying after numerous petrol stations around the nation ran out of fuel. Industry experts say there is no shortage of fuel supply in the UK. Instead, the issue lies with a lack of heavy goods vehicles drivers to deliver it. Chris Jones has more in London.
Across the UK, thousands have sat in long queues eager to get fuel, and because of the heightened consumer demand, petrol stations have run dry. On Tuesday, Boris Johnson said he sympathised with those who have been unable to fill up because of panic buyers, but was adamant that things were improving.
We now are starting to see the situation improve. We're hearing from industry that supplies are coming back onto the forecourts in the normal way, and I would just really urge everybody to just go about their business in the normal way and fill up in the normal way when you really need it.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. The phones here are open if you want to join us. Number 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And you can bring up whatever's on your mind. Coming up, the video, it's just a clip from Kathy Hochul, the New York governor, the woman who's going to bring National Guards members into the hospitals in New York State because, well, they're firing all the people who are brave enough to actually stand up for themselves and say, yeah, we're medical professionals who don't agree with the vaccine. We're not interested in putting that in our body and being part of this gigantic experiment. They are going to be gone, like, immediately. The deadline apparently was yesterday. So those people probably received their pink slips today. And so they may be bringing in the National Guard troops as soon as, the next few days.
This is definitely what you want in a pandemic when your hospitals are already short-staffed, is to make the staffs even shorter.
Oh, yeah.
And
almost makes you think they're doing it on purpose.
Yeah, because now they can claim the hospitals are overwhelmed.
We were talking about the government. The first thing they do during these debt ceiling arguments is the first thing they do is they close the parks down, they close the monuments, they close all the neat things to make you really feel it. They don't fire government employees.
No, they're not going to shut the courts down.
But I mean, in this case, they're doing the same thing. They are really sticking it where it hurts, which is the health industry. And if they really want to make COVID look bad in the fall, they're helping. They're making it look bad because it's not going to be.
Good point. The timing is important.
These nurses, the health professionals aren't going to be there. They're not going to be available when we really need them.
They've got this planned out.
Oh yeah, sure. It's going to hurt.
Just look at what's happening in Australia. That's what they've got planned for us. I mean, it's hard to make predictions for sure, but they seem to be following the same playbook. Let's go to your phone calls, though. We also talked about the debt ceiling a little bit, and that's apparently what callers want to talk about tonight. David is in San Francisco. You're on Free Talk Live. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. Do the libertarians have a position on slumlords?
People shouldn't be crappy towards other human beings, so I'm generally against the idea of a slumlord.
Yeah, don't do business with slumlords.
Good. Well, so the GOP right now are refusing to not only put in bids for their congressional districts, so they don't want to improve their own congressional districts, and what makes it worse, the financing for repairing America's property is being held up. They want to basically shut down government.
When you say, hold on, slow down for a second here. When you say the financing for repairing America's property, what does that mean? That sounds like political speak.
And where is this finance coming from? Is it like the 20-something million that our guys just forbid?
But specifically, what property are we talking about here?
Well, the infrastructure bill is what we, the people, own in America.
Oh, no, it's what the government owns in America.
The sewer systems of America, the freshwater systems of America, the highway bridges, the locks and dams.
You mean like Flint, Michigan's water system?
Well, that was sabotaged.
Yeah, and where's the money coming from, I asked?
Hold on, before we move on to that.
David, the people own it, right?
You don't really believe that you own the road, do you? Do you really genuinely believe that?
Yeah, I do. And you do too, whether you will believe it or not.
Okay, so go spray paint your name in the road. If it's yours, you can do what you want to it, right?
I treat my property with respect, and I expect my tax dollars to go toward fixing it.
Some people like to tag things, and I know some really good taggers out there that do beautiful work.
So,
I would love some of our walls to be tagged up, but that's illegal.
Here's a better suggestion though. Sometimes the roads are in crappy shape, and there have been people who've actually gone and tried to fix the roads on their own volition. Like they're tired of waiting for the San Francisco City Council or
pothole Robin Hoods.
Yeah, they go out, fill a pothole, or paint some crosswalks. The crosswalk had faded away for being run over for years, and they get arrested for it, David.
There's a guy who draws, he spray paints penises on the holes to get the guys out there to fix the problem.
Yeah. What do you think about that, David? Should they be arresting? Should they be arresting those people?
I raised the question in the beginning whether the libertarians have a position on slumlords, and you've given me a lot of fun game answers about how fun it is to be a slumlord.
No. I say don't do business with slumlords. Do not support slumlords.
The federal government.
If you don't rent with that person, he will not have money. He will go out of business.
But the difference between a slumlord and the government is the government puts a gun to your face if you don't give them money, but yet they act just like a slumlord. They take crappy care of the bridges and the roads, and they, look around you. These things are in terrible condition.
Some people live in towns where nobody takes part in their government. I started showing up at city council meetings when I was 12.
Dave, no, I'm sorry, dude. It doesn't work. It does not work. I spent 6 years of my life. I spent 6 years of my life following the city of Keene, trying to make things happen in this city. Absolutely got nowhere. I wasted 6 years of my life. I'm not going back. I'm not doing it again. I'm doing my own thing. I'm gardening. I'm getting off the grid. I'm taking care of myself. I'm going back to my individual roots because it is an absolute waste of time.
David doesn't have the same values that you do. For David, it's been a success.
Yeah,
he lives in San Francisco. He's got a huge government there.
And he agrees with a lot of what his government's doing, except for the infrastructure problem he has a problem with tonight.
Well, the infrastructure problem is not being financed by the Republicans. And
where's the money coming from? I'll ask you a third time. Where does the money come from?
Where's the money coming from? Well, baby.
Where's the money coming from?
Why don't you grow up? We the people own America.
But where is the money coming from? That's why they're against it, because it is just printing it. You can't just print infrastructure money out of nowhere.
Do I have to go to an education of how Alexander Hamilton was the first treasurer, the U.S. Treasury?
Yeah, he was a horrible guy. Glad he got shot.
He started borrowing money from England. We just whooped England, and then he starts borrowing money from England.
Okay.
Now, if you want to get into a discussion of where does the money come from, do we want to compare ourselves against a king, or do we want to create our own value?
But taxation doesn't create value.
But wait, can you answer the question? Where does the money come from?
Well, you just ran an ad for some new kind of Bitcoin, some new kind of fly-by-night money, right? Now, does America have the right to create its own value, or are we going to have to live up to all sorts of new fly-by-night kinds of money?
Do you believe that printing money creates value?
I didn't say that.
I'm asking you.
The government doesn't create any kind of value. It just takes.
Is education a value?
In this country? Absolutely not. It's a horrible daycare system.
Hold on, David, I see your point. Sure. As an entity, the United States of America, whether it exists or not, has a right to create its own form of money, just like I do, just like Satoshi Nakamoto did, just like the guy at Goldbacks did. Sure. But they don't have the right to derive the value of their money by putting a gun to my head.
Well, don't allow anybody to put a gun to your head.
I'm in full agreement. Abolish the federal government.
You have, if for some reason in your mind, you've become so paranoid that you don't trust your own government.
David,
I don't want to be.
Let me tell you a little.
Pick up a history book.
Hold on. Let me tell you a little story about 6 months ago when that very government raided my house and threatened to shoot me.
Yeah, they literally pointed guns at you.
What were you doing wrong?
Exactly.
I was sleeping. I was sleeping at 6 in the morning. That's what I was doing.
And what was your arrest warrant for?
That's irrelevant, David.
Oh,
There's been no
well,
trial.
So now you're just going to come up with government.
So you
bad,
believe in
but
you believe guilty before without being
he just
proven
presumed
innocent?
you did something wrong. He's your typical American believer in the state, believer in the government. As long as the government accuses somebody, right, David, then they must be guilty. They must have done something wrong, because if you didn't do anything wrong, they never would have shown up at your house.
Exactly.
Because the government's trustworthy in David's world. In David's world, it doesn't matter what the government says or does. They must be right.
What about the Hispanic in South Haven, Mississippi, when the cops showed up at the wrong house and shot him in the back of his head because they were executing a warrant on a completely different property? What did that guy do?
He's not even listening.
No, he's just sitting there going blah, blah, blah.
He's going blah, 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 like a little child. Like he puts his little fingers in his ears and, I can't hear you.
I mean, he was literally doing that.
That's literally what he's doing, and he's like 70 years old.
That's a shame, David.
You're an embarrassment. Thanks for the call.
I'm sure that Hispanic guy the South Haven Police Department killed, I'm sure he was doing something wrong too. Right, David?
There's so many stories of police killing innocent people. It's crazy. 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160. That's why we got to leave the United States. We cannot live with these people.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what the readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. freedomsphoenix.com, constantly providing the information, the real news about government policies, and the real relationship we all have with the coercive government. The real condition of the economy, innovations in technology, breakthroughs in energy, health, and computer science. Learn the truth well before it's admitted to in the lamestream media. The corporate media, nothing more than distributors of government propaganda, but now there's an alternative. freedomsphoenix.com. Constant news updates on the issues that affect your life in the most important ways. With liberty and property under constant attack, freedomsphoenix.com provides the understanding behind the propaganda, and it encourages the participation of its readers. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. That's freedoms with an S, phoenix.com. freedomsphoenix.com. The revolution between the ears has already happened.
I'm a little obsessed with My Magic Mud. Several years ago, I met Jessica Armand, the founder and CEO of My Magic Mud, and I didn't even know my teeth were coffee stained. A week's worth of use convinced me, and now I use it every 3 or 4 days. It's clinically proven to whiten teeth, and I think it cleans better, too. My Magic Mud's available at most local health food stores, Sprouts, Natural Grocers, CVS, Walmart's Natural Beauty Aisle, but I can get it for you for 20% off with coupon code FTL20 at mymagicmud.com. FTL20, mymagicmud.com.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com. Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this, right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, connect with others via the forum at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com. What if you want to hear the latest episode of Free Talk Live, but all you have is your phone, you forgot to download our archive, and you have no data connection? You can call our Listen line at 641-793-0191. That's a long-distance number, so you may incur charges. If not, listen as long as you want. 641-793-0191. The Free Talk Live Listen line, 641-793-0191.
There are basically 2 types of advertising, direct response and branding. Radio's great for direct response with its low cost to listener ratio, but audio can't be beat for branding, which is a longer term endeavor. You want to be the first thing that someone thinks of when they think about your product or service. If you have a local business that you want kept top of mind in your community, call the station. If you need national reach, Free Talk Live's got around 200 radio stations, millions of monthly listening sessions, can suit all budgets, and if we don't think we're right for you, we'll tell you. Email me, mark@freetalklive.com.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com.
This is Free Talk Live. You can bring up whatever you want here. The number is 603-283-6160. 603-283-6160. And here in the studio tonight, you've got Ian,
Aria,
and Conan.
Coming up, Conan, you mentioned there's some interesting numbers about a third of, hospital people, like hospital
I think it
victims.
just really, I found an article that just really...
a third of people hospitalized, right, are unvaccinated?
COVID-19 in Wales. 1/3 of positive cases are unvaccinated.
Mm-hmm.
I just, what's up with that headline?
So not even hospitalized, just cases.
Just cases.
Okay.
I mean, they do have some of the numbers as far as hospitalizations and deaths, but that headline says it all.
Yeah.
It says it all. Let me read that again real slowly. COVID-19 in Wales. 1/3 of positive cases are unvaccinated.
It reminds me of something that went around a few years ago when some media outlet ran a story that was something like 75% of all rape victims are female, so we need more protection for women or something like that. And the number one response from people was like, God, I can't remember. That's a bad example. Forget I said anything and let's move on.
Well, the unspoken statement there is that 2/3
are vaccinated.
Right.
That's
the media loves doing that.
Very telling, but it doesn't fit their narrative.
Right.
The narrative that they've been spewing for almost 2 years now. They have a message. Their advertisers, for Big Pharma, who mainstream media works for, by the way, if people out there didn't realize that, their support doesn't want. They want a certain message to be given to us.
And let's think about the reality of that. Roughly 2/3 of the population in general is vaccinated in the first place, and a third is not.
Well, in this country, it's 50-50.
Not quite.
In which country? The United States.
It's like 54% are fully vaccinated.
60% at this point.
They have at least one shot. But as far as fully vaccinated, and by the way, wait till the booster comes out, because that's going to screw everything up.
But see, their category here is vaccinated and not vaccinated, not fully vaccinated and not fully vaccinated. So they're probably including people with only one shot in this number. And that's roughly 2/3 of the population. So it almost sounds like the vaccination wouldn't be doing anything of any benefit to anyone to keep them from getting hospitalized, because 2/3 of the people hospitalized are vaccinated.
Actually, I do have vaccine status in COVID-19 in Wales, and number of testing positive in week 19.
Okay.
All right.
Are we in week 19?
I think this was last week. Unvaccinated, about 1/3. First dose. How does this color scheme work? First dose.
Yeah, that would have to be in like late April, right?
Yeah, that was a long time ago, because vaccines have been available since what, January or something like that?
Yeah.
26 weeks is half a year, so that's less than 6 months.
Second dose is damn near 40%, almost 50%, and they have an unknown number.
So what was first
as well.
dose?
First dose is 6,000. They don't actually split it up into percentages. So I have to.
But we can
look at the
assume
numbers.
a significant portion of those went on a few weeks later to get their second dose.
So you're right. So more than 2/3 of these cases are either first dose and or second dose. So fully vaccinated.
And you do bring up an excellent question. With the booster, so-called booster shot, what is that going to do to the number of quote-unquote people fully vaccinated?
Especially when you have folks like Bill Maher coming out saying he's not getting any more.
Right.
He's done.
There are some people
really?
like that, yeah. There are some
Well, at
people
least he finally grew a spine.
Yeah, there's some people that have said, hey, you told me that everything was going back to normal.
Yep, no
That's
masks.
why I took these shots.
I get to go back to concerts and whatnot, so I've done it. His quote, his actual quote, I took one for the team. Okay. I did what you told me to. I took one for the team. I'm not taking any more of these.
Good for him.
And, of course, Biden just got the booster. I don't know if you heard about that. They made a big show of that.
Placebo?
Whatever it was. We have no idea.
Saline water?
The number, according to Google News, of people in the United States that are quote-unquote fully vaccinated is 55.8%.
So it went up one.
Yeah.
But it doesn't. But it's so half and half. So the second, even if you only taken one shot, it doesn't matter. You still can't get into that concert.
How are they even getting that number though? Because there's no official record of whether I'm vaccinated or not. So how do they know?
Good question.
There's no national database.
They have a list of how many shots they've administered, and they have a population number.
If you get a shot,
yeah, but the state of New Hampshire doesn't even have a database.
I don't believe it.
Well, they claim they don't.
So if my theory is correct, that they just have they know how many shots they've administered.
Mm-hmm. But a lot of those are boosters.
Or
people mixing and matching like Mark did.
And that's where I was going. You have people who are getting more before they even said get boosters. You have people who are getting boosters.
Yeah, because they wanted to feel safer.
So does that number count as far as that 55% is concerned?
I don't know how it could possibly not count. They have not been keeping track of this.
So in that case, that 55% is skewed in the wrong direction. It might be even less than half of the population are fully vaccinated from this nonsense.
It's a fair point. I imagine they're doing some sort of survey, though, and are just sort of generalizing and extrapolating the results. Mm-hmm. Who knows? I don't know how they're getting these numbers. But there's certainly no national database. So as far as we've been told, we don't really know what the government's doing behind closed doors, and we're told there isn't one in New Hampshire. I don't think even Massachusetts has a statewide database.
I don't know, because from what I was hearing when I was listening to the radio in jail, and they were talking, of course, about this stuff incessantly on mainstream media and NPR and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It definitely sounded like they were IDing people at the vaccination depots.
They are, but that's to put your name on the card. I don't think they're recording it any other way, and certainly not digitally. I don't think they're then going into a database and entering your name.
Okay, see, I thought they were, and that's how they would know if you need a second shot or if you've already gotten the second shot or not.
Yeah,
like you showed up. And said,
as I understand it, they're not. But I don't know. I haven't gotten the shot, and I have no interest in doing it.
And I don't know anyone who's gone through that process to where I could ask them, hey, did they type your name into a computer?
Week 19 was May 9 through May 15.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, we're a ways away from
Little ways. Of course, the numbers, like you mentioned, Arya, this data floats around, and it sits in a pile. And
I mean, if they were keeping a national database, we wouldn't need the vaccination cards and all of that. Venues could just look our name up in this database and go, oh, okay, yes, you're fully vaccinated.
That's why they want us all to get on Excelsior app, so that they have access to all of that.
Right, but they don't already have the data. The government doesn't already have it.
And that's a good thing, in my opinion.
Yes.
According to the numbers here, New York State, this again according to Google, has 63.5% of its population with the quote-unquote fully vaccinated status, and New Hampshire at 61.4%. Again, if you believe these government numbers, what's the reality? Who knows what that actually is? But New York Governor Kathy Hochul showed up at, let me get you the name of this place here, the Christian Cultural Center, which is a Brooklyn megachurch. And she had this to say. You just got to hear it from her. This is the audio provided by disclose.tv.
I prayed a lot to God during this time. And you know what? God did answer our prayers. He made the smartest men and women, the scientists, the doctors, the researchers. He made them come up with a vaccine. That is from God to us. And we must say, thank you, God. Thank you. And I wear my vaccine.
I have a quick question.
He made. By the way, he made them.
So there's no such thing as free will in her worldview.
No, she's a.
God can just make you do things.
Yeah,
this is always a tough question for Christians to answer, whether or not they believe in free will.
I think she just made her point clear. She doesn't believe in it.
By the way, she's wearing. She mentions this here now. She's wearing a necklace, a gold necklace that says "Vaxxed" on it.
That was her. I thought that was just some thumbnail they picked off the interwebs.
Her. Nope, that's her. She'll mention it right here.
Thank you. And I wear my vaccinated necklace all the time to say I'm vaccinated. All of you. Yes, I know you're vaccinated. You're the smart ones, but you know there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants. You know this.
Maggots.
You know who they are.
Oh, no, she's absolutely right. I'm not listening to the God that is government and the state and what they want.
Yeah, that's the the big question is, what God is she talking about here?
I mean, even if she's referring to the Christian God, I see her point. He has this plan. He created the universe to work as it does, and he knew that humans were going to one day discover vaccines, and the best and brightest would get involved in medicine. But I don't believe that, but I could see her making the case for that.
I saw at least three YouTubers who covered, just in the last day, theories of the mark of the beast. And it's really strange that that many Christians are coming out in support of this vaccine nonsense and the passport, not just the vaccine itself, but the actual idea that we need a database, that we need a way to track these people, and if they don't have it, they can't shop in Walmart. And it's like, have you never read Revelations? do you not? How can
keep
you
in mind my background?
This?
I am from these people. They had an actual bunker.
You're from the Bible Belt.
Yeah, set up for Y2K because they were like, the computer binary code is 666. They actually, my father told me about that, by the way. That's how ignorant these people are. They thought the Antichrist was going to take over in Y2K. They know all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And yet every single one of those people who did that to me when I was a kid,
they got vaccinated.
They're vaccinated.
Christians out there who are vaccinated, what planet are you on? Did you even read the Bible?
They did. But they just don't see it when it actually is coming, just like the Bible said they would.
Yeah, that's a good point. More coming up here in moments. The number, if you want to join us, 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
When Monster Hunter International discovers one of Isaac Newton's wardstones being auctioned off, they decide to steal it and use it to destroy the Chaos God once and for all. But a mysterious thief upends their plan, and it soon becomes a race against time as something much older and infinitely more evil awakens in the jungles of South America. Monster Hunter Bloodlines by New York Times bestselling author Larry Correia and Baen Books. Visit monsterhunternation.com for more.
Looking for a great real estate investment? Consider New Hampshire, which is ground zero for the Liberty Movement. Your first call should be to Mark Worden from Porcupine Real Estate. He's more than just a real estate agent. He's your New Hampshire concierge. Where are the best places to live? Do you want farm, city, the burbs, or forest? Do you want a duplex or multifamily building so that renters pay your mortgage? There are homes in all price ranges in New Hampshire, and Mark can help with financing too. Invest in liberty and property. Mark Worden can help.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
Tired of cancel culture? Sick of mega tech corporations holding an axe over your head? Join the LRN.FM Matrix chat server. It's self-hosted, so no one else can tell us what to do or say. Don't like the existing channels? You can make your own. You can even connect into some of our channels from other Matrix servers. It's federated. For the full LRN.FM Matrix experience, though, you should join our server via the step-by-step instructions at chat.lrn.fm. Chat.lrn.fm.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. U.S. markets posted heavy losses Tuesday as Treasury yields rose to the highest level seen in around 3 months. And those fears over a possible government shutdown also weighed on investor sentiment. William Denzelo reports from New York.
The 10-year Treasury yield rose again Tuesday as traders brace for the Federal Reserve to soon begin tapering its monthly bond buying program. An expected relaxing of the Fed's accommodative policies could have a major bearing on the tech sector. By the close of trading Tuesday, Facebook and Alphabet both fell more than 3.5%. Those losses dragged the tech-heavy Nasdaq down sharply. It fell 2.8%, marking its worst day of trading since March. The Dow also slipped 1.6%, while the S&P fell 2%. Those developments in the nation's capital also weighed on Wall Street. Addressing the Senate Banking Committee, Jerome Powell warned that inflation could linger longer than predicted. William Denzelo, New York.
Lawmakers have questioned top U.S. military leaders over the withdrawal from Afghanistan in a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing. They answered questions over tactical decisions during chaotic evacuations and on future counterterrorism operations. Carolyn Malone reports from Washington.
Defense Secretary Austin, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Milley, and U.S. Central Command Leader General McKenzie gave opening statements and answered questions on the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. General Milley said the assessments he received said the withdrawal of U.S. forces would hasten the collapse of the Afghan military and government within a few months, but not the possibility it could happen as fast as it did. The military chiefs were asked whether the Afghanistan evacuation and mistakes damaged the credibility of the U.S. around the world. General Milley said that's being reviewed and damage to the US reputation is one word that could be used. Caroline Malone, Washington.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has urged people to stop panic buying after numerous petrol stations around the nation ran out of fuel. Industry experts say there is no shortage of fuel supply in the UK. Instead, the issue lies with a lack of heavy goods vehicles drivers to deliver it. Chris Jones has more in London.
Across the UK, thousands have sat in long queues eager to get fuel, and because of the heightened consumer demand, petrol stations have run dry. On Tuesday, Boris Johnson said he sympathised with those who have been unable to fill up because of panic buyers, but was adamant that things were improving.
We now are starting to see the situation improve. We're hearing from industry that supplies are coming back onto the forecourts in the normal way, and I would just really urge everybody to just go about their business in the normal way and fill up in the normal way when you really need it.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks, looking today in greater detail at the panic buying in the UK that over the weekend resulted in many of the country's petrol stations running dry. It took place after the government's transport secretary said there was no reason for the public to panic, but the shortage of truck drivers in Britain able to get fresh supplies moving has now been revealed for all to see. Howard Cox founded Fair Fuel UK, a motoring campaign group backed by the haulage industry. He says the British authorities have been extensively warned for months of the looming crisis.
There are tankers sitting there full of petrol and diesel around the country waiting to get, come along and fill up these forecourts. And the only ones who can do this is the military. The 5,000 visas for European drivers, that's completely, wouldn't touch the sides. There's not enough. And really, what's the point in coming over here for 3 months just to actually deliver what you've left anyway? I mean, the government have got themselves into this situation. The petrol and diesel is in the fuel supply chain. It's there. What we need to do is just get drivers, bums on seats to deliver those tankers to the forecourts.
There are efforts underway, as he indicated, to offer temporary visas to drivers from Eastern Europe to return to truck driving jobs in Britain. Haulage executives say thousands of applications for licences remain delayed as a result of COVID-19, and they're urging rapid action to clear the backlog. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. U.S. markets post heavy losses as Treasury yields rise to the highest level in around 3 months. U.S. lawmakers question top military leaders over the withdrawal from Afghanistan. And UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson urges people to stop panic buying after numerous petrol stations run out of fuel. That is the latest feature story news. Ira Spitzer reporting.
A report released Tuesday by physicists at Stanford University revealed that the entire known universe, from the whole of human civilization to the totality of matter and energy, is actually the fictional setting of a cop show called Hard Case. According to authors of the report, existence as we know it was created solely to provide the framework for the primetime drama that airs weekly in a parallel universe, and that every historical event prior to the show's September 2008 pilot, including the Renaissance, World War II, evolution, the September 11th attacks, and the presidential administrations of Washington through Clinton, never actually happened and are merely part of the elaborate backstory crafted by Hard Case creator and showrunner Dominic Egan.
We used to believe that our universe operated under immutable laws of thermodynamics and gravitational relativity, but now we know everything just comes from the minds of Hard Case's 12 staff writers. Overall, it seems like a very well-written show.
Physicists have theorized that the universe as we know it will cease to exist whenever Hard Case airs its final episode.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It is Free Talk Live. We're kicking off the third hour of the show. As always, open phones if you want to join us. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. In the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Conan.
We're in the middle of an audio clip of New York Governor Kathy Hochul speaking to a megachurch in Brooklyn. And what she has to say is that the vaccine comes from God.
And, I could get behind what she was saying if she was coming at it from a point of view of, we're all creations of God, so anything that we create necessarily comes of God. And
that's not what she said, though.
No, and there's some biblical support for that. I think it was in Job, or maybe it was Isaiah, where Yahweh said, I create the good and I create the evil.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously the counterpoint to that was like, so when a human murders another human, is that from God? And the Christian God of the Old Testament would be like, obviously.
Fire and brimstone.
But that's not what the modern Christian believes, obviously.
Right. Good point, because I wonder if you asked her, would she also admit that the virus came from God?
Ooh.
I suspect she would say that came from Satan or something like that.
Yeah, but that's not how it works.
It's not, but that's not how modern Christians interpret their own theology.
Right.
See, all the bad stuff, that's the devil. All the good stuff, that's God.
Yeah. Let's go on, though. Here's some more from the speech that she gave, courtesy of disclose.tv.
But there's people out there who aren't listening to God and what God wants. You know this. You know who they are. I need you to be my apostles. I need you to go out and talk about it and say, we owe this to each other. We love each other. Jesus taught us to love one another.
This coming from a governor, somebody whose job it is to crack down on people, put them in cages, take away their freedom, take away their liberties. There are so
their
many
lives,
people,
their families.
Yeah, there's so many people rotting in cages who are completely peaceful individuals in New York State. This woman, if she cared anything about love, she would release them. She would wave her little pen.
Which she can probably
which she can do, because she's the governor, and she could pardon every nonviolent offender in the New York prison system, let them off of Rikers Island or wherever the hell it is that they're holding, whatever hellhole that they're holding those people. She could do that.
I'll make an agreement with this lady. If she does that, I'll go get that stupid vaccine.
Yeah. She's not going to do that.
I know. This is not how this lady interprets love.
No.
Her idea of love is obedience, compliance, doing what we say is right, so your neighbor can come out of his house and not feel scared of the maggots out there.
Right. That's because her God is evil. Whatever it is, whether it's the state or the devil or whatever it is she actually believes in.
Oh, she worships the devil.
Yeah.
I'm convinced of that. I mean, if she's a modern Christian, she worships the devil.
Actually, do we even know what her religion is?
She's a Christian.
Presumably, she's a Christian. She's certainly presenting herself as one here to this megachurch population.
Yeah.
Let me go on here with more of her speech.
And how do you show that love? But to care about each other enough to say, please get vaccinated because I love you. I want you to live.
See?
I want our kids.
I called it. Her idea of love is being a good, compliant citizen, and so we can all watch each other's backs via this vaccine, which is nonsense, because as we've discussed, it's actually the vaccinated who are spreading this disease these days.
In a vacuum, I don't have any issue with the governor saying, hey, you should get this vaccine to show your love for one another. But if she's also using her authority to do whatever she can to force people to get that vaccine, then there's obviously an issue. But in and of itself, a governor saying, hey, you should go out there and convince people to do the loving thing and to get vaccinated. No, I'm fine with that. It's when they use the force of government to make people do it while at the same time spewing all this heartwarming nonsense about love. That's when I have the issue.
And calling all of the opponents, all the naysayers, calling them uneducated.
Or ungodly.
Oh, yeah, they're not listening to God.
Yeah.
She specifically said that.
Right. It's her way is love. It's not, I love you, I'll let you choose. You are a free person. You should be able to make a decision for yourself as a way of expressing love. No, to her, that's not love.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know if she's ever read the New Testament. That's what Jesus preached.
See, to her, that would just be narcissism. And to us, what she's saying is narcissism.
Let's go on.
Kids to be safe when they're in schools. I want you to be safe when you go to a doctor's office or to a hospital and are treated by somebody. You don't want to get the virus from them. You're already sick or you wouldn't be there. We have to solve this, my friends. I need every one of you.
Back up just a little bit, right where she says to get this vaccine. And she pauses for a second.
You're already sick or you wouldn't be there. We have to solve this, my friends. I need every one of you. I need you to let them know that this is how we can fight this pandemic, come back to normal, and then start talking about the real issues that we have to. Fighting systemic racial injustice, which exists today. And if there's a denier, I will take you on any day because I've seen it. I know it exists. And we are not going to have a blind eye to this ever again.
Like I said,
how do they always squeeze systemic racism in every argument?
This lady could solve a big problem by just going ahead and releasing all the people, including, which are going to be mostly black people and Hispanics that are in those jail cells all across New York State.
Talk about systemic racism, lady.
Right. If you want us to believe you care about fighting that, then you need to show proof.
Absolutely. And Conan, you mentioned that it's not the unvaccinated out there spreading COVID-19. And that's absolutely true. If Louder Than Life proves to be one of these super spreader events as they talk about, it's not the unvaccinated people who did that because the unvaccinated were required to show that they were not positive for COVID-19. The vaccinated people didn't have to do that. And we know the science that says vaccinated people can still get and spread COVID-19.
Yes.
Absolutely.
We just talked about that article. 2/3 of Wales
But people who don't
vaccinated,
people who don't get tested for COVID-19 have a free range to do that. People who don't have COVID-19 because they've tested negative can't spread COVID-19 because they don't have it.
They're not going to call Louder Than Life a super spreader because they followed the rules, right? They were a quote unquote
they created
event.
Rules. They didn't really enforce them.
Okay, but from the perspective of the media, this was a quote-unquote vaccinated event. They had their little testing tent. There's a line a mile long of people waiting to get their little test results or prove to them that they've gotten results or whatever.
And a little armband.
The media can show up and they can take pictures of that and say, look, we're here at Louder Than Life in Louisville, and looks like all these people are lined up to show how vaccinated they are. What a great event. And so if people get
I hope
sick,
they did that and saw me walking right by it and have video of that.
If somebody gets sick out of that event, they're just going to be sidelined. It won't matter.
This is just like the weatherman who's like standing in a puddle up to his neck, and he's talking about how the hurricane is going to destroy us all, and some construction worker just walks right behind him.
Yeah,
it's the same thing. Arya's just strolling right behind this dude, waving.
That would be awesome. I didn't see it, but that would be funny if that happened.
It's on a YouTube somewhere. Someone find it for us.
So there's your what is her name here? Governor Hochul from
Karen
New York.
Karen Hochul.
I think it was
course,
Kathy,
she's
okay. It's a Kathy, but it is a K, Kathy.
Yeah,
might as well be a Catherine.
Yeah.
A Karen. I meant.
Yeah,
she's horrible.
I'll just take it right on back.
Horrible Hochul.
This person telling you it's the Christian thing to do.
Look out.
Get this vaccine, and then you're going to have to get your papers. You're going to have to get your pass so that you can get into the restaurant or get into the ballpark or whatever. No. You obviously didn't read the Bible at all.
Yeah.
That's not the Christian thing to do.
And I don't believe the Bible is the word of God by any means, and I don't think any of this is actually the mark of the beast. I just think, anyone who spends enough time thinking about the direction humanity is going to go, their lust for control over one another, knew that something like this was going to come eventually. I think that's the most likely explanation.
Yeah, this I'm not saying that this is Revelation's mark of the beast, but by its very definition, a vaccine passport is a mark of the beast. I'm sorry,
you're not wrong.
It might not be the mark, but it is a mark.
If you believe that the government is the beast, it's definitely the mark of the beast, right? But then again, we've already had driver's licenses,
and social security numbers as well.
Social security numbers,
and those things weren't popular either when they first came out.
But you've never been denied entry to a grocery store for not having a social security number.
This is true.
You've never been told you couldn't buy food.
Yeah, this is definitely taking it to the next level, and it is disturbing how many of the mainstream religious people are behind this as well. And you were talking about how the Bible predicts that the Christians will be captured and they will believe all of the this stuff. The Vatican is now saying that it will require all employees to provide proof of vaccination or documentation of a recent COVID test. So all the biggies are behind this. They're with the governments on this stuff. It's only the small religions that are standing up and refusing to obey. More coming up here in moments. 603-283-6160. This is Free Talk Live.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless free market non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
Breaking weather news. Belize is sunny and around 82 degrees every day this week.
What's the forecast for your life? If current politics and economic prospects are cramping your freedom, escape to the tropics. ECI Development has affordable second homes for you to own or rent in Belize and other tropical countries. Places with stable governments and growing economies. Secure your freedom now. To find out more, send an email to ftl@ecidevelopment.com.
After a devastating war, the alien visitors were driven back, and their willing human collaborators were left behind to face the music. When Emma Jean Anderson's ex-lover brings her from prison, Nathan Foster and his 14-year-old nephew Ben are tasked with bringing the pair to justice. An easy enough job until they discover something is inside Emma Jean, and the fate of the planet hangs in the balance. The Family Business by Mike Coopery from BaneBooks.com.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com. Some of you asked, and now we've delivered. LRN.FM's live Keene, New Hampshire studio shows are now streamed in HD on Twitch. Visit our channel at twitch.lrn.fm and give it a follow. If you have Amazon Prime, you get one free subscription on Twitch. If you use it on our channel, Twitch will give LRN.FM a monthly piece of your Prime subscription cost. So please watch, follow, share, and subscribe to twitch.lrn.fm. That's twitch.lrn.fm. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
Do you appreciate what we do? Help us advertise, market, and promote for just $5 a month at amp.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Phones are open for you. If you want to join us, the number 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Here in the studio tonight, it's Ian,
Aria,
and Conan.
Also, don't forget to check out our channel on Odyssey. It is a video streaming, video storage service to compete with YouTube, created by freedom lovers, and it's being very successful. They've gotten millions of users now, with I think over 1 million content creators. A lot of them have come over from the YouTube platform after being banned coming close to being banned. And it's backed by what's called the Library Protocol, LBRY. And that's the most important part about Odyssey, because Library is uncensorable. It's decentralized, it's blockchain-based, and it's a media sharing protocol. We've been using Library for years on Free Talk Live to back up some of our video archives. And it was in 2020 where Library launched Odyssey, which is kind of like a front end for the Library back-end system. Now, Library is uncensorable. Odyssey does have a few rules, so like if you want to make porn, you can't have a channel on Odyssey. But otherwise, it's pretty open as far as...
It's probably allowed on Library.
Yes, it is absolutely allowed on Library because Library cannot disallow anything. There is no way for Library to stop you from uploading whatever you want to their platform. It's amazing. So check out our Odyssey channel. Go to video.freetalklive.com and hit the subscribe button. Follow us there. You will need to create an account to do that. And when you create the account, they will ask you if you have a YouTube channel already. You've got you're a content creator. You want to protect your videos on YouTube from being taken down, your channel from being taken down. Odyssey makes that super easy with their YouTube Partner Program where they will literally do all the work for you. They will ingest. You just connect your YouTube to Odyssey and they ingest your channel's videos into the library system, and they're there to stay, which is amazing.
It's a no-brainer. If you're a YouTube creator, you might as well go ahead and do it. Why not have your videos on another platform?
Yeah, you never know when YouTube's going to target your channel for strikes and then an eventual takedown, or just delete some videos. Sometimes on the Free Keen YouTube channel, I've just gotten a notice occasionally that, oh, we've deleted your video. We found that it violated our terms. They deleted a video earlier this year that was a promo, a 30-second promo, so it didn't even have that much content. It's only 30 seconds long.
Right.
And they said it violated some obtuse term, and they didn't even get specific, right? Like they didn't say what it was that violated. So this promo got deleted. It was literally a 10-year-old promo. It had been on the site since 2011 or something like that. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and there's no telling what is really in their terms and conditions, and
they can change it
if they don't specify what exact term or condition you violated. Then you have no chance of you have no chance of disputing it.
And they can always change the terms later. That's part of the terms. It's like we can update these at any time, and if you don't agree, well, too bad.
And then your innocuous 30-second promo video suddenly is no longer compliant.
Exactly. So let's go on here. We talked about the governor in New York and her supposed pro-God speech that she gave.
And her National Guard national crisis.
She's moving them in, yeah.
State crisis.
Before you know it, you're going to see men in fatigues, men and women in fatigues walking around hospitals.
They probably won't.
You don't think so?
They'll probably be in regular. Yeah, usually they outdoors, but when they're in the hospital, they'll be in scrubs and whatnot.
I bet you they'll be wearing fatigues under that.
Maybe.
You see them walking around. They want you to know that they're there. Anyway, ProjectVeritas.com. Now, Aria, you've been partying for the last week.
Yeah.
So you didn't know that Project Veritas...
I can't access their website anyway.
It's fine. You didn't know that they've been coming out with... there's like a YouTube channel, but they've been coming out with these undercover camera series, which is kind of what they do at Project Veritas.
Yep, that's their specialty.
But now they're targeting the COVID crackdown. And the first one was a video of a Department of Health and Human Services, federal DHHS nurse. She came out as a whistleblower. And she wore the camera into the hospital that she worked, and she got people, basically saying that the vaccine is BS and that the VAERS vaccine side effects reporting system is underutilized on purpose, and that some of the nurses just don't want to even use it because it takes forever to fill out a form. I mean, so she really revealed some interesting stuff. The second video was not as good, but it was still interesting in its own right. It was they'd sent one of their agents for Project Veritas on to some sort of dating service.
Okay.
And gotten themselves a date with somebody who worked for the FDA as a quote-unquote economist.
Good Lord.
And it's this flaming gay guy.
They put a lot of trouble into this, man.
That they're on this date with. And the video's too long. It just goes on for 10 minutes. And it's basically the gay guy saying the same thing, which is that he wants black people to get the shot, and so he's willing to use a blow dart or a blowgun, shooting a vaccinated dart.
We need to play that clip at least.
Blacks.
It is so racist.
Basically, it is. But he even says at
Why
one point...
Why does he want black people specifically to get the shot?
Because they're not getting the shot.
Blacks have been experimented on in the past.
Yes, I don't blame them for not trusting the government.
Right. So the FDA wants, this guy at least, in the FDA, wants to, make them. Because
at this point...
he could not have picked a more racist option.
The current narrative, Aria, is that this is a war of the unvaccinated. They're getting everyone else sick. We know that that's not true. Leanna Wen just came out recently and just basically said, yeah, we need to fear the unvaccinated, but it's because it's the vaccinated that are actually the super spreaders that are spreading the Delta variant. So I'm afraid that I'm going to infect my own kids who aren't vaccinated. She just straight out came out and said it.
This is the Baltimore mouthpiece for the government, basically, their doctor. She's
all over, but
talk shows.
She's been around since the Boston bombing.
Yeah, she's going around to all the talk shows, and by the way, she's got a profile on the World Economic Forum website. She's one of their people.
Oh yeah, she's definitely an insider. Yeah. She's a spook for sure. But yeah, it's where were we going with that?
Well, I was just telling you about the second video. So the second video is this gay guy working for the FDA keeps talking about
this
how he
gay
wants
racist
to blow dart blacks. At one point, he even says, "Oh, well, we'll blow dart some whites first to make it so it looks like we're not being racist."
He can't possibly be serious, though.
No, he's drunk.
He's drunk.
He's quite drunk, and it does happen on more than one date. So there's video from 2 different dates. What it looks like.
But you know who speaks the truth? Kids, old people, and drunks.
Yeah, and they took the same approach for this video, although it wasn't a gay date. It was a straight date with 2 men. Not 2 men. It was the same woman recording, but on dates with 2 different men. The men work for Johnson & Johnson. According to this, and this just went up yesterday, ProjectVeritas.com if you want to see it. They released their 3rd video, the COVID vaccine investigative series, exposing 2 Johnson & Johnson officials who argue children don't need to take the COVID vaccine, in part because of the potential long-term side effects. One of the exposed J&J employees, a scientist by the name of Justin Durant, laughs about inconveniencing unvaccinated adults if they refuse to comply with mandates being imposed upon them. And again, these are date videos. You can tell they're sitting at a restaurant, they've got drinks, she's getting them to talk. So Durant says this, quote, "Inconvenience them to the point where it's like, I might as well just effing do it and take the COVID vaccine." They're putting some things in parentheses based on context here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't go out of state. My grandma's in Canada and I can't visit her. You know what I'm saying? You can't go to France unless you're vaccinated. You just got to keep doing things like that where you're almost like a 2nd grade citizen if you're not vaccinated. But I know that's awful.
Yeah.
He said.
Cattle cars are coming because of people like that. People in power.
And he knows it's awful.
Yep. But he wants it.
He doesn't know. Actually, he doesn't know it's awful. That's
what he said.
He said he knows it's awful.
He doesn't believe it. He doesn't believe it. That's what the history books have told him not to. Yeah, he's laughing about it.
And the reason I can't play this audio is because it's really bad. It's like loud restaurant.
It sounds like it's expletive as well.
There's expletives, but they bleep those. But the audio is just not worth playing on the air. So I'm just going to read some of this to you here. It's very interesting. We'll continue with more of the Project Veritas expose in moments on Free Talk Live.
Carl Watner, longtime proponent of a voluntary society, died last December. You may have seen his articles published on his website, voluntarist.com, in his newsletter, The Voluntarist, the Mises Institute, or elsewhere over the last 40 years. His newest book, I Must Speak Out, Volume 2, The Best of the Voluntarist, is now available via Liberty Under Attack Publications. This 430-page second volume spans the years of 2000 through 2020 and includes articles by Carl Watner, Hans Hermann Hoppe, Carl Hess, Benjamin Tucker, George H. Smith, Lysander Spooner, Pete Eyre, Joyce Brand, and many others. I Must Speak Out is for the newly initiated, the veteran voluntarist, or anywhere in between. Buy the book now at libertyunderattack.com/voluntarist. For more great content on building a voluntary society and for Carl's extensive archives, check out voluntarist.com.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. U.S. markets posted heavy losses Tuesday as Treasury yields rose to the highest level seen in around 3 months. And those fears over a possible government shutdown also weighed on investor sentiment. William Denzelo reports from New York.
The 10-year Treasury yield rose again Tuesday as traders brace for the Federal Reserve to soon begin tapering its monthly bond buying program. An expected relaxing of the Fed's accommodative policies could have a major bearing on the tech sector. By the close of trading Tuesday, Facebook and Alphabet both fell more than 3.5%. Those losses dragged the tech-heavy Nasdaq down sharply. It fell 2.8%, marking its worst day of trading since March. The Dow also slipped 1.6%, while the S&P fell 2%. Those developments in the nation's capital also weighed on Wall Street. Addressing the Senate Banking Committee, Jerome Powell warned that inflation could linger longer than predicted. William Denzelo, New York.
Lawmakers have questioned top U.S. military leaders over the withdrawal from Afghanistan in a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing. They answered questions over tactical decisions during chaotic evacuations and on future counterterrorism operations. Carolyn Malone reports from Washington.
Defense Secretary Austin, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Milley, and U.S. Central Command Leader General McKenzie gave opening statements and answered questions on the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. General Milley said the assessments he received said the withdrawal of U.S. forces would hasten the collapse of the Afghan military and government within a few months, but not the possibility it could happen as fast as it did. The military chiefs were asked whether the Afghanistan evacuation and mistakes damaged the credibility of the U.S. around the world. General Milley said that's being reviewed and damage to the U.S. reputation is one word that could be used. Caroline Malone, Washington.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has urged people to stop panic buying after numerous petrol stations around the nation ran out of fuel. Industry experts say there is no shortage of fuel supply in the UK. Instead, the issue lies with a lack of heavy goods vehicles drivers to deliver it. Chris Jones has more in London.
Across the UK, thousands have sat in long queues eager to get fuel, and because of the heightened consumer demand, petrol stations have run dry. On Tuesday, Boris Johnson said he sympathised with those who have been unable to fill up because of panic buyers, but was adamant that things were improving.
We now are starting to see the situation improve. We're hearing from industry that supplies are coming back onto the forecourts in the normal way, and I would just really urge everybody to just go about their business in the normal way and fill up in the normal way when you really need it.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It is Free Talk Live. You can bring up what you want if you dial in. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Latest video from Project Veritas just hit yesterday, and we watched it after the show. One of our chatters, kudos to, I believe, Chantel, for sharing that in the chat server. You can go to and join our chat server over at chat.freetalklive.com. It is a Matrix chat server, which means it's open source, self-hosted, and federated. And basically, if you create a room there, it can be private, and we don't even know it exists. So there's a lot of privacy to be had on the Matrix server, which is pretty cool. Head over to chat.freetalklive.com, and you can join the fun over there.
To be fair, we probably could determine that the room exists, so we'd probably have to go into the actual...
Like a database or something? I don't even know
but
if
we don't know how, and I wouldn't care to.
Yeah, I don't think we could even determine what its name was. If we could determine that it existed, we wouldn't know what it is if it was truly a private room. Anyway... go to chat.freetalklive.com. Some of the rooms are private, some of them are public, so it's up to you, and you can join the ones that you like and create ones if you want. It's up to you. So we're sharing with you some excerpts from another roughly 10 or 12-minute long video from Project Veritas. They've released, I think, 3 of them in the last week. This is the 3rd one, and this one is the Johnson & Johnson expose, where they've gone on dates. So probably used, dating service like Tinder or OkCupid or whatever, somehow found people who were in Johnson & Johnson as employees. One of them is a scientist named Justin Durant, and went out on a date with him, plied him with some alcohol and maybe a pretty girl. We don't see her, we only hear her voice, and get him to start talking. And he started talking about how there's going to be what he calls a second-grade citizen, which he means second-class citizen. Talking about, encouraging people to get the vaccine, admitting that it really is all about numbers. It's all about the money for Johnson & Johnson. But let me continue with some of the quotes here from this story at projectveritas.com. So the lady, after he said about, second-grade citizen, she says, "You're almost what?" And it's loud in there, so you can kind of understand why she would say these things, but also she's good at asking him to clarify what he's saying, so it's real clear what message he's trying to get across. He says, like a second-grade citizen, like you can't do anything that a normal citizen can do. She says, a second-graded citizen? He says, yeah, like top grade, the ones that get it, meaning the vaccine, and the ones that just then you can't do S. So later, she says, or the journalist says, so then how do we punish the unvaccinated? He says, I mean, if you can't work, I feel like that's punishment enough.
Not when the government's paying people to stay home.
She says, people what? He says, only way people really act and comply is if it affects their pockets. Like if you're working for a big company and you're going to lose your job, best believe you'll be the first one in line to take the vaccine.
Yep. This guy is absolutely despicable. If she wasn't a plant, I would hope that she would never date this guy again.
The journalist from Veritas says, right, if you're working for a big company and you're about to lose your job, you'll be the first one in line. He says, yeah. The journalist says, that's so true. That's smart. That's what we need to do. He says, that's what we're doing.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. Durant says he doesn't recommend taking his own company's vaccine. He admits later he's taken personally the Moderna vaccine. He asked the Veritas journalist to keep that information private. He said in a text message later on, later on he said something in the text message. They don't say it here, but it's in the video. He tells her, like, hey, don't share what we talked about or else I might get in trouble. He says in the video...
Once he sobered up a little and realized what he had been saying.
And he says in the video, don't get the Johnson & Johnson. I didn't tell you, though. And he kind of like winks and smiles.
Jesus.
Both Durant...
And this is a Johnson & Johnson employee telling someone not to get the Johnson & Johnson.
That's correct. And he's apparently a scientist, or so he claimed. Both Durant and Brandon Schott, Schadt, he's J&J's regional business lead, said that so again, there's 2 dates that this woman went on. Said that applying the COVID vaccine on children would not move the needle in the battle against the pandemic. Durant said, quote, it wouldn't make that much of a difference if children are unvaccinated for COVID. And the other man, Schott, says, quote, it's a kid. You just don't do that, Not something that's so unknown in terms of repercussions down the road, Well,
at least they're not, all right, they're pretty awful people, but at least they're not wanting to stab kids.
He says it's a kid.
Just the black people.
Yeah.
Well, that was another dude.
Okay, true. Fair point.
That was a guy from the FDA. He says it's a kid. It's an effing kid, They shouldn't have to get an effing COVID vaccine, He said. He compared J&J's COVID vaccine efficacy to other pharmaceutical companies. He said, quote, J&J is like stepping in the best smelling pile of S you could step in, he said. So he actually says their vaccine is better in that way.
But it's still a pile of S.
Stepping in a pile of S, yeah.
This is why
that's weird.
Unvaccinated.
That is weird.
Yeah. So there's some excerpts.
We don't know what these vaccines are doing.
No,
right?
and he admits that. That's why he's saying don't give it to kids because, we don't know what the long-term effects are going to be.
As I've said before, the Johnson & Johnson old school attenuated vaccine, which is basically putting the dead
I've heard different
virus
things on
in you.
that. I've heard that it's actually just they found a way to reduce it into one shot, is what I've heard.
Well, yeah, but compared to the mRNA vaccine.
That's what I'm saying. I've heard that the J&J is an mRNA vaccine.
Really?
Yeah.
I've not heard that rumor yet.
I don't know if it's true or not, but that's what I've heard.
That is interesting.
Well,
anyway.
But speaking of the mRNA, experimental, never been done on humans before.
Mm-hmm.
We don't know what is going to happen. We don't know where this is going to take us. Obviously, it doesn't work. Supposedly, you don't get as sick as you could get.
That's what they claim. There's no way to tell.
Exactly.
But
we know
story
it doesn't
you had
work.
from Wells suggests that that's not true anyway. Only a third of the people in the hospital are unvaccinated, and only a third
of cases. It wasn't hospitalized people.
Okay,
just cases, because it's always just cases.
But that's part of the.
If it was hospitalized, if it was a story about the unvaccinated are filling the hospitals, they would have said that.
Yeah, that's part of the sort of religious aspect of this is this belief that because I got the vaccine, I got sick again. I got caught COVID after the vaccine, but
not as sick as I could have gotten.
Right, and that's a total belief. There's no evidence for it.
And the other one is if you have an adverse reaction to any of these vaccines, no. That's how you know it's working. If you get a sore arm or you get...
Did you see the lady who had a stroke?
Yeah, exactly.
But she said she would willingly get the vaccine
I know,
again?
because she got that stroke because it was working. Mm-hmm. Her body was reacting to it. And
your body had a stroke reacting to it.
Holy crap.
There was another one. A woman had a baby. She's got a small child, like a real young baby that had started to break out in a rash. And doctors figured that the best they could figure was it was because she was feeding her breast milk after getting the vaccine.
And you're not going to hear these horror stories, people,
Not on the mainstream
from the
media.
mainstream.
No.
And if you
And they're not
and
being
especially
reported
if you
at
don't,
VAERS for the reason you talked about
exactly,
earlier.
eventually, if you don't go and visit the VAERS database, which is it has a slew, thousands and thousands of adverse reactions. I think it's up to like 13,000 deaths from this nonsense. They're not reporting on that.
No.
All of these vaccines should have been pulled off the shelves 10 months ago, 12 months ago.
Well, and it's also difficult for them to make that connection. Okay, you got vaccinated 3 months ago, but now you're in the hospital for a blood clot or whatever.
Correlation's not causation.
It's a leap of
so
faith for that doctor to say, okay, well, we need to report this to VAERS. This is clearly a side effect of the vaccine.
But as that first whistleblower said, it doesn't matter if it was 3 months later. You're still supposed to report it. You're supposed to say, oh, it's 3 months later. We don't know if this is connected to this at all, but the vaccinated person did in fact die.
This thing.
Got this thing 3 months afterwards.
And it is total faith. It's total faith to believe, because the thing is, you can't compare yourself unvaccinated getting the disease and yourself vaccinated and getting it because
it's just it's a hypothetical.
It's apples to oranges. You only went one direction in your life. And even if you had it prior to getting vaccinated and went through it and then got vaccinated and caught it again, you still can't compare it because it wouldn't necessarily affect you the same way the second time anyway. So it's total faith. There was another video, speaking of faith and like this religious belief in this whole thing.
That's what it is.
The like one of the health bureaucrats from Canada. Did you see the video of her like putting the hand, what is it, not lotion,
the
but the sanitizer on her hands. Then she removes her mask and then does it again before she starts talking. It's just so crazy. There's more coming up here. Such a ritual. We're on the way. It's Free Talk Live.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live.
Where did you get this right to tell me what I can do in my business? Where do you get the right?
I support private property.
No, you don't.
You're a liar. You don't understand
I'm a liar?
You're either a liar or you don't understand what private property is. One or the other.
Your house is private property.
Yeah, my business is too.
You open up a business
it is
public. Now
open
it's
to
private.
the public.
As far as I'm concerned.
Well,
that's just an opinion.
you can redefine property if that's what you want to do. Where do you get the right to tell me what I can do in my business?
My lungs. So when they pass a law,
the government
has lungs, sir.
The law. You just pointed it out.
I'm being silly.
The law.
You're being a Nazi.
You're absolutely right. The law is what gives you the right. The law is a bunch of words written on paper by liars and thieves, and you're willing to use that force that they have to reach your own ends. When you're willing to do that, then anybody can do anything to you.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern, live on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
The LRN.FM social media channels have been revamped. We've eliminated Facebook and focused on other platforms like Twitter and Mastodon, the decentralized alternative to Twitter. On our accounts, you'll find posts from multiple LRN.FM show hosts together in one place. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.lrn.fm, or better yet, move to the decentralized Mastodon social media platform at toot.lrn.fm, toot.lrn.fm. I think you'll like it.
How many lawyers does it take to change a light bulb? None. They'd rather keep their clients in the dark. There are too many lawyer jokes to count. However, there are some lawyers with more noble intentions. At the Institute for Justice, we bring the light to our clients. We are a non-profit public interest law firm with clear values and principles. At IJ, we fight for those whose most basic rights are denied by the government. Visit our website today at ij.org.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Moments remain here. Enough time for you if you want to join us now. The number is 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. Here tonight, it's Ian.
Aria.
And Conan.
Let's change things up a little bit. We've been talking COVID, crackdown, insanity, religious nonsense.
And as you can get ritual, the new ritual of COVID-19, the washing of the hands.
Oh, dude, that's not new.
That's not new.
I've been railing against people using hand sanitizer for the better part of 10 years. It is,
but it's become a real ritual.
Did you just? We just watched the Alberta health whatever.
Minister. Yeah,
it's more common, but long before COVID, I was watching people just do it like it was a nervous tick.
She just spent 50 seconds of the video just washing her hands and just looking all smug.
Hold on, no.
Holier than
she
thou.
Was not washing her hands. She was rubbing alcohol.
She was killing all the germs, including the beneficial bacteria on her skin, which is sometimes a good thing to help protect the body.
But it's not washing
part
your
of the
hands.
immune system. But yeah, but these new rituals are disgusting, especially the masking and the isolating, and it's
so creepy.
It is.
It's eyes wide shut creepy.
Yeah.
It is seriously eyes wide shut. Wear your mask and don't stand close to me and wash your hands. I'm sorry. Rub some alcohol on your hands.
Thank you.
Repeatedly. It doesn't get them clean. It's not about cleaning them.
No, it's just about killing bacteria. Yeah. Right.
But yeah, we could talk about this all day long because it's everywhere. It's in our lives.
And hers is a double ritual, right? Like, so it's the ritual of the hands and then also the mask, because she
took the mask off and then
she rubs her hands, then takes the mask off, then does the pumping again.
At least she has noticed something that has just bugged the living hell out of me since the beginning of this.
Mm-hmm.
The people who are constantly touching their mask.
Yeah.
Well, that's by design, dude. That's why the masks don't work.
That moist, nasty, soggy mask. The cashier. I just stand there and I watch it. I'm like, and then they touch everything, all of my groceries.
They make things worse for sure. But she touches it behind the stage, right? Like if she's got it on out in public, everybody with a damn mask on's constantly adjusting.
She doesn't even wear the damn thing when she's at the family barbecue.
She's out
an hour later.
Yeah, if she's with her buddy, she's not wearing it.
You can't help but adjust the thing because it's awkward and uncomfortable because humans don't like having cloths over their faces.
Right.
This is true. I like breathing. I like oxygen.
In Guantanamo Bay, they call it waterboarding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it's
not that
it's
bad.
waterboarding, but yeah, it's unnatural. Yeah. And we're counter. Our nature is counter to having something blocking our breathing.
This is true. So what's this about me being able to play crypto at Taco Bell?
Yeah, what's happening?
Yeah, the more I see this, the better it looks. There's a new partnership between crypto payment processor BitPay and Verifone, which is one of the world's largest providers of credit card machines.
Yeah, basically. I've seen those machines. I know the name Verifone.
Yeah, and the reason that this is important, we sort of talked about this after the break, is you suggested a company may have to opt into this. I don't think they'll have to, and I think that's why the integration of BitPay is important. Because BitPay, what they do now is you give them the cryptocurrency and they give the equivalent amount of cash to the company. Like Newegg doesn't actually take your Bitcoin if you buy something from them. BitPay does, and they probably have some sort of system in place where they can give you that Bitcoin or they can give you an equivalent amount of cash.
Yeah, I see what you're saying,
But
Arya,
it's not
but
AnyPay.
according to the press release, and that's available over at businesswire.com, this is from BitPay, where it actually says that the solution is easy for merchants to implement, so there is going to have to be a switch they throw. They're going to let their merchants know, hey, now you can accept Bitcoin and Bitcoin Cash and Litecoin and Dogecoin even, as well as a few.
But it's not the business is actually accepting that. Your customers can spend that.
Correct. Yeah. Well, and we don't know. Maybe they will give the business the option to accept cryptos directly.
I don't know if BitPay does or not.
According to CoinGraph, nah. They're gonna give USD.
Cashing out.
They're gonna give USD to the merchants, and of course, just like PayPal has done, they're going to keep the crypto, which is the smartphone, which is a smart way to do it. That's what I would want to do.
Yeah, get rid of your USD.
But as a merchant, I want the option. I want to be able to take just crypto.
But will most merchants want that option? Well, the mainstream, because I'm sure Walmart uses these devices, will Walmart Incorporated decide they want the Bitcoin?
I don't know if Walmart uses Verifone. They may have their own system entirely.
But they are extremely popular, and if it gets implemented in the way that I suspect it's going to, then it could be everywhere, or just about everywhere that you can use cryptocurrency. Widespread use of tokens for purchases has been a goal that has long eluded the crypto industry, with most users focusing on speculation and merchants scared off by the price volatility of the digital assets. BitPay said it will provide greater protection from price swings, since the funds will be settled promptly into the merchant's bank account in traditional currency once a transaction is completed. So, yes.
After every transaction. Wow. Okay.
Ooh,
Interesting.
that's true.
Yeah.
They're going to have some sort of automatic process to do that.
Obviously, they do.
Yeah, BitPay already processes more than 60,000 transactions a month, more than half of them in Bitcoin. By comparison, Visa handles an average of 150 million transactions a day.
Wow. Okay.
However, that's just a matter of popularity. If BitPay also accepted, actual usable cryptocurrencies like Dogecoin or Bitcoin Cash or something, their number of transactions they could handle could easily be 150 million per day.
BitPay does accept those. They're on the list.
And if they were more popular, I meant.
Yeah.
If this goes through, they could easily hit 150 million transactions a day versus, just accepting Bitcoin where they're never going to hit 150 million per day.
Well, that would require not only this to go through, which it sounds like it's going through, but also for crypto to be popular for payments, and it's not there yet. Number one,
it may be after this.
No, it won't. Because
you don't think so?
No, because cryptocurrency is generally not popular at all. I mean, it's on the cusp of, it's starting to get heard. People are starting to talk about Bitcoin. But for the most part, it's still niche as far as the number of people that actually have wallets But of the people that have cryptocurrency wallets, most of them don't want to spend it.
Oh, that's true.
Remember,
they're investors.
Yeah, we come across this all the time. Even with libertarians who should know better. That if you want this stuff to become popular, you have to use it. If you want it to be valuable, it has to be useful, and therefore you should use it. People, a lot of them just can't get over the idea that, well, but number could go up. Why should I use thing? Number could go up when I can use this other thing where number go down.
Which is a difficult battle to fight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a fair point.
It's hard.
But I mean, you can replace the crypto that you spend as well.
You could. But that's the reason why this isn't going to blast off. But it's still important. It's great news.
It is. Today, spending crypto can be a headache, and I'm not going to read the example here because it's clearly written by someone who has never used cryptocurrency in their life. They're like, a customer may need to move coins to an exchange and then sell them and then move money into a bank account to spend. First of all, that's not spending crypto.
No.
Second of all, there are so much easier ways to spend crypto than selling it for USD, transferring it, and then swiping a debit card. They do list some of those.
By the way, I just had to do that. I just bought USD coin for the first time.
Oh, yeah?
And
why?
I bought something that only accepted USD coin.
So Verifone is the latest firm seeking to make crypto payments easier. Last week, social media network Twitter allowed users to tip in Bitcoin. Wow.
It's Lightning Network.
Oh.
No. Twitter.
They tried.
Yeah, so in order to use the Twitter tipping system, from what I understand, I have not personally looked into this, but I've read about it. In order to do this, you've got to go through a know your customer process. You got to give them your social security number.
To Twitter?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I'm already out. Yeah. Well, I'm not allowed to use Twitter at the moment anyway, but even if I was, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
Well, and I can't use crypto anyway.
So it's totally centralized. It's not real Bitcoin. It's the quote-unquote Lightning Network. because Jack, the guy that runs Twitter, is a total Bitcoin maximalist, and he's a pimp in the Lightning Network.
Why do these Bitcoin maximalists think that the Lightning Network is going to solve any of their problems?
I don't know. I have no idea. They've been
Did Jack
pimping that for
Dorsey
years.
try tipping anyone with Bitcoin on the Lightning Network, and was he successful? And does he really think that the average user on Twitter is going to be able to go through that gargantuan process?
Yeah, I presume if you're using a centralized service, they probably make it easier once you pass their Know Your Customer.
Oh, so you have to actually give your crypto to Twitter first?
I don't exactly know how that system works, but as I understand it, you've got to, with the Lightning Network, in order to use it, you have to like create these channels, and that means you have to send Bitcoin into the Lightning Network first before you can use the Bitcoin on the Lightning Network, and it's very confusing.
And you have to send more than you actually want to spend.
It's very
because you have to
confusing.
keep some amount of it just permanently in holding to keep that channel open. It's so confusing. So Verifone and BitPay didn't disclose how long their exclusive partnership will last. Verifone has an option to invest in BitPay as well. And BitPay has raised more than $70 million for it. Their CEO says, "We've always felt it was a matter of time before people had an expectation they could pay with crypto as they could pay with MasterCard and Visa. This development will accelerate that. Consumers are going to just expect that to be an option." And I hope he's right.
Yeah, I'm interested. I mean, not that I can use crypto because I'm on some stupid bail conditions, but
likewise.
But I'm very interested to see how this pans out. I'm very interested to see which businesses enable this. Where can you actually go to use a Verifone? Because these are just the credit card pads.
Yeah, and if they're going to cash you out immediately, you've got no additional risk by turning it on.
Exactly, as long as it works.
True. And it won't if they use the Lightning Network.
It might. Sometimes Lightning works for smaller transactions, from what I understand. We're out of time tonight. We'll see you tomorrow. freetalklive.com.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
Do you feel like your nation, state, or community no longer holds your values? Have you dreamt of a place where people agree that liberty is important and are free to pursue their projects so long as they respect the property of others? There are many people just like you that are discovering freeprivatecities.com. Their social media links are at the upper right of the page at freeprivatecities.com. All skill levels will be needed when the first of the Free Private Cities opens. It's sooner than you think. Stop arguing and build. freeprivatecities.com.
I'm crazy about My Magic Mud. This is the most important oral care product created this millennium, and I'm not kidding. We all have different opinions on politics and issues, but we all have mouths. And I want yours to be as clean as possible, with teeth as bright as they were meant to be. I will never be without My Magic Mud. It's a little surprising, but man, does it work. If you only listen to one thing I say ever, go to mymagicmud.com and get 20% off with code FTL. mymagicmud.com, code FTL.
There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer. U.S. markets posted heavy losses Tuesday as Treasury yields rose to the highest level seen in around 3 months. And those fears over a possible government shutdown also weighed on investor sentiment. William Denzelo reports from New York.
The 10-year Treasury yield rose again Tuesday as traders brace for the Federal Reserve to soon begin tapering its monthly bond buying program. An expected relaxing of the Fed's accommodative policies could have a major bearing on the tech sector. By the close of trading Tuesday, Facebook and Alphabet both fell more than 3.5%. Those losses dragged the tech-heavy Nasdaq down sharply. It fell 2.8%, marking its worst day of trading since March. The Dow also slipped 1.6%, while the S&P fell 2%. Those developments in the nation's capital also weighed on Wall Street. Addressing the Senate Banking Committee, Jerome Powell warned that inflation could linger longer than predicted. William Denzelo, New York.
Lawmakers have questioned top U.S. military leaders over the withdrawal from Afghanistan in a Senate Armed Services Committee hearing. They answered questions over tactical decisions during chaotic evacuations and on future counterterrorism operations. Carolyn Malone reports from Washington.
Defense Secretary Austin, Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Miley, and U.S. Central Command Leader General McKenzie gave opening statements and answered questions on the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. General Miley said the assessments he received said the withdrawal of U.S. forces would hasten the collapse of the Afghan military and government within a few months, but not the possibility it could happen as fast as it did. The military chiefs were asked whether the Afghanistan evacuation and mistakes damaged the credibility of the U.S. around the world. General Miley said that's being reviewed and damage to the US reputation is one word that could be used. Caroline Malone, Washington.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has urged people to stop panic buying after numerous petrol stations around the nation ran out of fuel. Industry experts say there is no shortage of fuel supply in the UK. Instead, the issue lies with a lack of heavy goods vehicles drivers to deliver it. Chris Jones has more in London.
Across the UK, thousands have sat in long queues eager to get fuel, and because of the heightened consumer demand, petrol stations have run dry. On Tuesday, Boris Johnson said he sympathised with those who have been unable to fill up because of panic buyers, but was adamant that things were improving.
We now are starting to see the situation improve. We're hearing from industry that supplies are coming back onto the forecourts in the normal way, and I would just really urge everybody to just go about their business in the normal way and fill up in the normal way when you really need it.
From bureaus worldwide, this is FSN.
This is the Onion Week in Review. In a landmark 5-4 decision issued this Wednesday, the Supreme Court ruled to allow Americans to cram cash directly into politicians' mouths. The ruling, which effectively eradicates former prohibitions against stuffing checks and stacks of $100 bills straight down the throats, ears, and other orifices of presidential and congressional candidates, is expected to fundamentally alter the ways American politicians have large quantities of money shoved right into their bodies. In football music news this week, the 1985 Chicago Bears reunite to record their first new material since the Super Bowl Shuffle. The group says the new material will be darker and more introspective than its Shuffle-era work. And in this week's op-ed pages, a man asks why, if God exists, doesn't he throw us like a really sweet party? In other news, an increasing number of men feel pressured to accept realistic standards of female beauty. FedEx confirms that more than 600,000 people try to mail themselves each year. And a recovering alcoholic doesn't need friends to have a good time.
This is the Onion News Network. The latest episode of Declare Your Independence is next, here on the Liberty Radio Network, LRN.FM.
It's time for Declare Your Independence with Ernest Hancock.
Believe me when I say we have a difficult time ahead of us. But if we are to be prepared for it, we must first shed our fear of it. I stand here without fear because I remember that I am here not because of the path that lies before me, but because of the path that lies behind me. I remember that for 100 years we have fought these machines. And after a century of war, I remember that which matters most. We are still here! Let us make them remember we are not afraid!
Here and declare your independence. Me, Ernest Hancock, here from Washington State, up near the Canadian border. You know, where we're going to be doing, tomorrow there's an event that we're going to be participating in, protest, but probably not going to get the crap beat out of us for holding a sign. Probably not. But who we're going to talk to, they'd love to do some head bashing on in Australia, Max Egan. Now, Max Egan, he's radio host, commentator, activist, world traveler, author, lecturer, philosopher in New South Wales,